What's going on, YouTube? We're now live. I got the Facebook live. I got the YouTube live. It's another good day of not being banned on these two platforms. Like, we'll talk about what's going on with Trump. I got three stories I want to talk about today. The first one is I have a few emails here. I want to talk about it. Looks like Trump is pretty much, I don't know, possibly announcing his run. He's been teasing it a lot. So we'll read the email. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If he's actually running, he's just like, putting a string in front of our mouth and we're all like, you know what I'm saying? You ever see they got the donkey? I'm screwing this up, but I think it's like they put a carrot in front of a donkey and the donkey keeps running, trying to eat the carrot and it never gets here. I can't tell if that's one of these situations or he's actually running, but we'll take your perspective too. Let me know if you guys want him to run or not. And then I want to talk about a big story, which is bigger than even Trump, which is, Trump being banned by Instagram and Facebook apparently until 2023, which is just crazy to think. Not only a private citizen can be banned that long, but the ex-president of the United States, a political, I guess, enemy, for lack of a better word, of the left wing. And in 2022, there's a really big election for the House and the Senate. And I think that this has a lot more to do with the left and the Democrats trying to achieve power in 2022 than it does about safety. They say, if we determine that there is a serious risk to public safety, we will extend the restriction for a set period of time and continue to reevaluate it. So listen, Trump is a lot of things. He's Mr. MAGA. He's a vaccine salesman. He's a America guy, whatever. He's a lot of things. I don't think him being on Facebook or, Twitter is really, or whatever, Instagram is really that dangerous. I think they're lying. I think you think they're lying. I think we know they're lying. So that's what it is. And since I got the emails in my hands, we'll do a little read along. I'll do my best Trump impression and try to read it and sound like him. So those are the three stories of the day. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here. And, I also have another picture here. I don't want to really show it off yet, but I will. Someone said on YouTube they liked my thumbnail. This is my thumbnail. I'm going to do it on Facebook because I didn't upload the thumbnail. So I'm just going to try to freeze frame for a second. Hopefully this will be the thumbnail of the Facebook too. I'm just doing that because, Facebook always gets me doing crazy hand things. I'm like, maybe it'll freeze there. And that's like a good thumbnail. So that's just my attempt at picking my own thumbnail. All right. So let's read the email. I didn't get it myself. No offense to Donald Trump and his family, but I had to unsubscribe to his email blast. Too much jab sales for me personally. But he says, next time I'm in the White House, there will be no more dinners at his request with Mark Zuckerberg and his wife. Okay. It'll be all business. So that's what he says. He says, next time I'm in the White House. So once again, I feel like Trump over the last year or two, no offense, but between Trump and, the QAnon, the trust the plan, any day now, he's going to come and arrest all your enemies. Just wait. It's going to happen in March. I feel like once again, he's kind of playing this role of like dangling a carrot in front of our face. He's like, next time I'm in the White House. So technically, is he running for office? I personally think he is. If you listen to him talk on Fox News and such, he keeps saying basically like for legal reasons or whatever, he's not going to announce until it's time, but it seems like he's teasing a run, but he's not really. He's like, next time I'm in the White House. He could just be like, oh, I didn't mean running in the White House. I mean, when Ron DeSantis wins, I'll be in the White House with him. So, I mean, is he running? I don't know. It's another carrot. He says next time in the White House, technically he could just go there if someone else wins. But I do personally think he's running. And, let me know what you guys think in the comment section if you want him to run or not. I appreciated what he brought culturally. I appreciated him de-escalating the war in Syria. I appreciate what he did for the resurgence of conservative culture in America. I think he was probably the most important figure in modern history to make it popular and mainstream and on a huge scale again to, rail against the liberals. And I think as soon as Trump came out, liberals got crazier and crazier and crazier. And now, there's all this. But personally, I don't know if I really want him to run for multiple reasons. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll read some. One, I think, he mobilizes the left wing. He does mobilize the right, but I think people hate Trump so much that no one really likes Biden. They just hate Trump. So a lot of those votes were the hate Trump votes. Also, I mean, he's getting older and no disrespect to age, but I just don't trust him after 2020. I don't trust the guy anymore. I don't know who he is. I don't know what his agenda is anymore. I'm kind of confused as to what he would even do. I'm going to read another email. This is one. Someone said, I think Q put their MAGA hats on too tight and went back into outer space again, said Jim Jones. That's funny. This is another email that he sent out a few days ago. I'm just going to read it in my best Trump voice because I think it's funnier. So, statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. This was his email to Dr. Fauci. He said, after seeing the emails, our country is fortunate I did not do what Dr. Fauci wanted me to do. For instance, I closed our borders to China very early, despite him not wanting them closed. The Democrats and the fake news media even called me a xenophobe. In the end, we all saw it was a life-saving decision, and likewise, closing our borders to Europe, specifically to heavily infected countries. So, this is Trump basically bragging that it was him and not Dr. Fauci who closed the borders. I think that's true. They did call him a xenophobe. That's true. But I feel like, a lot of people don't catch it because the left is so bad that the right's always fighting the left. The left sucks. They're always lying. No offense. I agree. I do. I think the media is always lying. The left's always lying. So now they've actually played this Roman theater game to get conservatives to support lockdowns and basically support the idea that shutting down travel saved all these lives. I'm gonna read on. He said, I was later given credit, even by Tony, for saving hundreds of thousands of lives. So Trump is basically bragging about being the first one to lock down, the first one to shut down travel, and he saved hundreds of thousands of lives by locking down. He's referring to, of course, I don't know if you remembered, but Trump said he was going to open up the country on Easter, and he saw the model. I don't remember if it was the IHME model out of Washington or if it was the Imperial model, both of which are funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, obviously. But, there's this huge hump, and all of a sudden Trump changed his tune. He went from being like, Mr. Let's open the country to, we got to lock down. And since then, it's like an ego trip for him. He thinks he saved the world. He literally thinks the whole world has been saved by his vaccine. His lockdown saved hundreds of thousands of lives, millions of lives, 10 million lives. It's worse than the Spanish flu. It's like Trump is almost like a more extreme version of Bill Gates now, in my opinion, because I actually don't agree with what he's saying. Yes, the left lied. Yes, the left called him a xenophobe. Yes, he locked down earlier. Yes, he pushed Dr. Fauci to rush the vaccine. But in my opinion, none of this is good. Still, a lot of these travel bans to Europe are still going on, and they're totally irrational. You have Canada, who's now extending their lockdown. You have UK that has all these problems. And my thing is this. I know people like Trump. I know people hate Biden. I know that there's reasons that people love him. But if you don't understand what's going on with the medical tyranny, I don't think you could possibly save the country or be an effective leader. The testing, the PCR test, how they were counting, how much, they were using it, how much widespread it was. The variants that they're talking about, just to give you guys an example, this is a Twitter feature story today from Financial Times. It says, Pfizer BioNTech vaccine elicits a weaker antibody response against the Delta variant, UK study finds. So now they're branding all these variants, right? Variants. Oh my God, there's a variant. I'm not saying COVID-19 is the flu. I understand Facebook doesn't want anybody to say that, and you're not even allowed to. I wouldn't say it anyway, because I don't think it is. But in general, if anybody has studied the flu just to see how vaccines and certain viruses work in other ways, the flu's been around for maybe a century, maybe more, maybe less. The flu vaccine's been around for at least 70, 80 years. And if you study the flu vaccine, you could see the flu vaccine and you could see the flu. And until COVID-19 came around and the mass COVID-19 lockdown and testing bonanza, the flu didn't go anywhere. It didn't get better. And there were variants. A reason that the flu vaccine didn't always work was because of variants. That's not my opinion. You can go into scientific journals and you could read what they do is they go to these big meetings, these big wig, World Health Organization style meetings, and they meet and they try to decide which variant to include in the vaccine for the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere. I know I've read a lot about it. So they don't always guess right because there's so many variants of the flu. So when it comes to COVID-19, how they're going to keep trying to lock people down is by using a variant as an excuse. So before I read along in my semi-impressive, pretty crappy Donald Trump voice impression, because I think it's funnier and more palatable to read the emails that way, if this guy doesn't get any of this stuff, he's not talking about the variants. He doesn't care that millions of kids are being forced inoculation or they can't go to school. Millions of his supporters, his military members, people who voted for him are being faced with the decision to be locked out of society unless they buckle down to this. He says nothing about it. He says nothing about the variants. He says nothing about the plan. He says nothing about the PCR test. He's bragged about ventilators, which they don't even talk about anymore because I don't think they work very well. So I'm just trying to figure out what part of this, is going to be good for 2024, because at this rate, if he doesn't understand this stuff, I don't know that, it's going to be an effective leader for the freedom movement. But it's not up to me. He's bragging about locking down the borders early, which now in hindsight is unjustified, but also is part of the reason that this all happened. He's also bragging about saving hundreds of thousands alive, which is what made him lock down the country after Easter. It was him who decided to extend the 15 days to slow the spread. He led the Republican Party into more shutdowns, and then he got mad at Georgia's Governor Kemp when Georgia's Governor Kemp decided to open earliest. So he was not really a freedom fighter. He's like a circus character, in my opinion, now, where he plays both sides. He says this, he says this, he does a dance, he puts a carrot in front of our face and acts like he's fighting all these people when for 3 years it really felt like it. But the last year, when I read the rest of this email, it's hard to figure out if this is Donald Trump or Bill Gates, because he's really changed his tune. If that's what you're into, it's all love. But for me, I'm not really appealed by this type of behavior. I was later given credit by even Tony for saving hundreds of thousands of lives. Dr. Fauci also didn't put an emphasis on speed of vaccine production because he thought it would have taken 3, 4, or even 5 years to create. I got it done in less than 9 months with Operation Warp Speed. In retrospect, the vaccine is saving the world. So, he keeps wanting to tout this fact that it wasn't Dr. Fauci who brought the vaccines. It was actually Donald Trump. So my request, hopefully people don't get mad at this. I think it's funny. This is not the Fauci ouchie. Everyone says, I got the Fauci ouchie. I got the Fauci ouchie. Give credit where it's due. It's not the Fauci ouchie. It's the mRNA Trump pump. It's the Trump pump. So don't say I got the Fauci ouchie. If you got the vaccine, say I got the mRNA Trump pump. Give the guy credit. He wants credit. Fauci doesn't deserve it. It's Trump's vaccine. Pfizer, Moderna, J&J. Daddy Trump brought them. Daddy Trump rushed the FDA. Daddy Trump rushed Fauci. And if people think that, I have to be honest. People keep saying to me, Anomaly, Trump you don't understand. He had to rush this, or else Democrats would have had us locked down for 5 years. This is one of the main talking points from conservatives. Anomaly, if Trump didn't rush these vaccines out, we would have been locked down for 5 years. And I say respectfully, or sometimes not respectfully, I apologize. If you think you don't deserve freedom unless the pharmacy industry and the United States government locks you down and rushes you a vaccine, you don't deserve freedom. How is this the conservative movement? How am I look like a hippie. I didn't even vote for Trump. How am I like a more right-wing conservative version of conservatives in 2021 for being like, you know what? I don't think that's a fair. I didn't sign up for this. Oh, lock me down. And then the only way I could be free if Trump rushes a vaccine. If that's your logic, you don't deserve freedom. That's why you're losing everything, because you let the Democrats play all these tricks. You let Fauci play all these tricks. You let Trump play all these tricks, and you go from, oh my God, in Saudi Arabia, they're making women wear hijabs, to all of your women being forced masks. And now you think you can't be free without a vaccine. It's like, how do conservatives don't realize that that's why they can't conserve anything, because they make excuses for the dumbest stuff. So whether you love this injection or not, we should never live in a society that this is like if you don't get held for ransom for 3 months and, rush out a vaccine, then you can't be free. If you're a conservative and you bow down to that logic, you're not going to have freedom ever again with variants, with testing, with vaccines. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning, because conservatives think this way. But in general, he keeps bragging about how it would have taken 3, 4, or 5 years to get the vaccine instead of 9 months. I have to remind people, because a lot of people as well, and I'm not trying to be mean, I'll try to be as nice as possible. They think that Trump is like this innocent victim who just got fooled and he doesn't know what he's doing. Like he's too dumb to figure it out, which I don't think so. He's a smart guy. Or they think that the lockdown that Trump did is different because he didn't mandate it, and Operation Warp Speed is totally different. He doesn't want this. You guys got to understand, the lockdown and the vaccine program, it's all one. You don't have one without the other. Trump is bragging about making it take 9 months. Do you know why vaccines usually take 3 or 4 or 5 years? Because there's something called FDA approval, and you can't just snap your fingers and create a cure. Where's the cure for cancer? Where's the vaccine for AIDS? Where are these things? I mean, a lot of them don't exist yet because it's not that easy to just create a cure. And when you do create a cure, you have to go through trials and testing, and a lot of times they do long-term effects. And in my opinion, I mean, this is just my opinion, I don't think they test enough. And the more I look at commercials for all these pills that they once told you to take that could cause this and could cause this and the side effects this, and now you could sue this person, or did you take the Johnson & Johnson baby powder, you could sue this person. All I see is lawsuits at pharma and goods companies for things that they once told you were safe, like asbestos, that now they realize is very harmful to you. So in my opinion, I don't think they need to be rushed by Donald J. Trump. I would prefer if they slowed down and, took their time, because I don't think this is warranted for the death rate. But anyway, the reason it takes 3, 4, 5 years is because usually that's how long FDA approval takes. And why is this one? Just to connect Trump to the lockdowns, to the vaccine. It's all one. You can't separate Trump from them because you like him. Without the lockdowns, there is no emergency. Without the emergency, there's no lockdowns. Without the emergency, there is no emergency use authorization. I'm not trying to say anything about it, but there's a difference between FDA approval and emergency use authorization. Emergency use authorization means it's not FDA approved, but there's an emergency pandemic, and it's better to just get this experimental thing into people, and then we'll figure out more testing and data later, and then we'll maybe approve it or not, but you have the right to try it because this pandemic's so bad. So if you think Trump with Operation Warp Speed, if you think he's just this crazy innocent victim who doesn't know what's going on, you have to understand that there is no, vaccine to the public if there is no emergency order that he signed off on. There is no emergency use authorization if they would have taken 4 or 5 years. So Trump wants credit for this. All I'm asking is give him credit. I don't care if you love it. I don't care if you hate it. What I find fascinating is there's millions of people who worship Trump like the second coming of Christ, and they're totally against what's going on. They're totally against the lockdown. They're totally against forced masking. They're totally against all of these emergency orders. They're totally against rushing out this vaccine and not just giving it to people, but actually, I would say, holding people for ransom, taking away their job, taking away their school, forcing 19-year-olds to either get it or have to sit out of medical school. I mean, this is evil what's going on. If you want to get an emergency use authorized vaccine, mRNA pump, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. If you don't see a problem with the fact that they're forcing it down kids' throats, that's messed up. And he doesn't care. He doesn't say a word about it. All he keeps bragging about is bringing them in 9 months. And there is no 9-month rollout because it's not approved unless there's an emergency. So Trump isn't a dummy. He's not an innocent victim. Fauci's not fooling him. He's in on it. He's doing it. He's the one who brought all this tyranny. And if you think you could separate Operation Warp Speed from the lockdowns and Trump's trying to save the world, you're lying to yourself, because there is no vaccine without the lockdown. There is no lockdown without the emergency. There is no vaccine without the emergency. And Trump's been in on all 3 of them. And I give him the benefit of the doubt always. But after a year and a half of him bragging about bringing all this stuff and very little words at all about the people who are being forced it, you have to come to the conclusion that he just doesn't care. There's millions of kids that can't go to school if they don't get vaccinated, and Trump could care less. There's millions of workers who voted for Trump that, they're going to lose their job if they don't bow down to Operation Warp Speed, and he doesn't care. He wants credit. That's all he wants. It's about him. It's not about you. It's not about the country. It's not about our freedom. It's not about the First Amendment. It's about giving Trump credit for the fastest rushed vaccine that is mRNA technology, which is very different from other ones in modern history, that is only out here because of the emergency use authorization. So I don't understand how long people are going to lie about this, but I don't care. I mean, I've been talking about things for years. I'm going to talk about other stuff today that no one wanted to talk about. Now they're mainstream conversations because the truth is not going anywhere. People could get mad at me for a while, and then, eventually they'll probably just stop getting mad and be like, I finally see it. But I'm going to keep reading the email because it gets worse and then it gets better. But I'll try to do my Trump impression because it just makes it funnier. I know it's not that good, but how could you read a Trump email without even trying to impersonate Trump? Because his total, his cadence and stuff is so iconic. Dr. Fauci Also didn't put an emphasis on the speed of the vaccine production because he thought it would take 3 or 4 or 5, maybe even 5 years to create. I got it done in less than 9 months with Operation Warp Speed. Retrospect, the vaccine is saving the world. Then I placed the greatest bet in history. We ordered billions of dollars worth of vaccines before we even knew if it worked. Had it not been done, our wonderful vaccines would not have been administered until October of this year. No one would have had the shot now, and that has now saved the world and millions of lives. So Trump's bragging about two things here, and then we're going to move on. He's bragging about buying the doses before they even knew if it worked. And he's being honest. The U.S. government under Trump, they bought 100 million doses, I believe, of Pfizer, 100 million doses of Moderna. They bought them before they were even emergency use authorized. Keep in mind, they're still not FDA approved. They're emergency use authorized. He bought them beforehand. Have you ever done your research on what happens if the government buys something? Do you think they're going to buy 100 million doses of something and then be like, you know what? Actually, let's just toss this away. You know, it doesn't work as well as we thought. No, of course, once they purchase it, which Trump did before they even knew if it worked, like he just said, once they're purchased, of course they're going to use it. In fact, if you don't believe me, just look into the history of Bayer and what happened when they purchased a certain group of pills that, you know, they couldn't use in America. So they sent it overseas and gave people a certain something that they knew it wasn't that good, but it's like, well, we bought it. Let's just use it. And I'm not saying that these ones are that. I'm not saying for sure, you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an advisor. You know, time will tell, and I wish everybody the best and everyone will be fine. But I'm just saying it's like he's the things he's bragging about, locking down the country, shutting down travel. It's still shut down, by the way, for a lot of people can't see their family in Europe because of Trump's travel ban. This is not an iconic travel ban. In hindsight, I mean, it was the start of the lockdown. It was the start of tyranny. And, you know, the world will never be the same. He thinks he saved the world. He rushed it in 9 months instead of 4 or 5 years, which is such betrayal, in my opinion. He placed the biggest bet by buying a bunch of them before he even knew if they worked or not. And now he's saying he saved the world. No, saving the world would be opening gyms. Saving the world would be getting people in better shape. Saving the world would be not doing that. He doesn't care. Trump doesn't care at all. He doesn't care that gyms were closed. He doesn't care that millions of people are suffering mentally and physically because of the lockdowns. He wants credit for it all. The vaccines, the lockdowns, the early buys, the Operation Warp Speed, the shutting down travel, the emergency order. Give the guy credit. Stop playing this game because people like him so much. Oh, well, I'm against all that, but I'm just going to play dumb and act like Trump was fighting it the whole time. He's not only not fighting it, he wasn't fighting it, but he continuously just brags about it as there's millions of his supporters looking for help. I know because I read my messages and people are like, Anomaly, I'm about to get fired from my job. Anomaly, I can't go to school. I'm 20 years old and I'm being threatened with admission. If I don't get this emergency use authorized mRNA jab, I can't go to school. And I'm 20 and 19 and I don't want to get it. And if you look at the data, I mean, look at the death rate for children. The fact that they're forcing this thing that's not even FDA approved into children, he doesn't say anything about it. I hate to say this, but I just don't think he's a good person anymore. I think he's a wicked man, and I just can't support this. We all have flaws. We all sin. I don't hold anybody to this crazy high standard, but in my eyes, he's no different than Bush, Obama, Clinton, Fauci, Gates. Like, he's in that club. He's doing wicked things. He knows better. He's not dumb, and he leaves his supporters just hanging out to dry, even though he brought all this here and was instrumental in the fact that it's all here. Now that it's here, and now we knew it was going to come since last April, I've been talking about it. Well, Trump's not going to make it mandatory. It's not up to him. It didn't even matter if he won. This was all going to happen. But the point I'm getting to is if he's really a good leader, if he's really a good man, he would be using his energy and his time and his platform to say something for the millions of people who are looking for his help, who he helped put in that position. If people want to get it, it's fine. But the fact that millions of workers and millions of kids are being forced this, listen, I'm not a politician. I'm not a coattail rider. I don't care what it costs politically for me because I have friends in the movement. Like, if you keep worshiping this guy, you're starting to become on the side of evil. You could vote for him. You could like him. You could appreciate what he did. But if you're going to leave millions of kids out to dry that are literally faced with the option, forced vaccination or you can't go to school, and your leader has literally nothing to say about it except for, I brought this here. I'm the reason it's here. I'm saving the world. Like, you're not on the side of good anymore. It's time to take the MAGA hat off because this guy is bad news at this point. And if you think that was bad, enough, he also wants to take credit for the masks. Most of his supporters hate the mask. Most of us know that, in my opinion, forced masking is abusive. It's mentally abusive. It's physically abusive. The forced masking was one of the most abusive policies in modern history. And I think if history is accurate, it'll be shown how abusive and how disgusting it is, equal to not a huge form because people were somewhat free. But I mean, at a certain point, putting a mask on someone is a crime against humanity, in my opinion. But anyway, he says, also, Dr. Fauci was totally against masks, even when I thought it would at least be helpful. He then changed his mind completely and became a radical masker. So Trump even wants credit for the masks. Are you kidding me? As children are being forced masked in school, even in Florida, Ron DeSantis has something to say about it. Trump just wants credit. He wants credit for the masks. He wants credit for the jab. He wants credit for rushing the FDA. He wants credit for Pfizer. He wants credit for Moderna. He wants credit for the lockdowns. He wants credit for the travel ban. Who is this guy? Why would I vote for this guy? I mean, I will never vote for this guy again. If it comes down to him or Biden, I might be forced to. But if people don't see this and they're just going to run in circles around this guy for the next 3 years, you could kiss the conservative movement goodbye. I can't believe he's doing this. It's such betrayal. And people say, what changed? It's like, this is not the guy I thought he was, but whatever. I'm going to read the last part because it's actually good. He said, there are a lot of questions that must be answered about Dr. Fauci. The funding of Wuhan by the U.S. was foolishly started by the Obama administration in 2014, but ended under the Trump administration. When I heard about it, I said, no way. What did Dr. Fauci know about gain of function research, and when did he know it? So that I agree with. I mean, Trump is calling him out. The gain of function research is the scandal, I think, of the decade. I mean, we'll find out what really happened. I don't know for sure, but gain of function research is when you take a virus that is not strong and usually not strong enough to transmit in humans and manipulate it to make it stronger. So when you gain a function of bat coronavirus, a lot of times you're taking a virus that can't get into humans and making it get into humans. And I think a lot of scientists have come forward and said, we've seen the genome. This looks copy and pasted to a certain extent. And they covered that up for a year. One of them's even in the emails that someone brought it to his attention early in 2020. But I'm glad Trump's still talking about that, because at the end of the day, I don't really care who it is. Nothing ever changes in this country as far as our trajectory, because no one ever gets held accountable for anything. I mean, it's not up to me. It's up to God. It's up to people higher than me in government. But, if somebody got away with, whether it's China, Fauci, whoever you want to blame, like a random rogue person by a mistake, whatever, if that is what happened, where they took a virus that wasn't transmittable to humans, manipulated it so it was, somehow got it leaked out of a lab, and a lot of the same people who are doing that also created the cure. You have agencies in the U.S. government who own part of the Moderna patent. The NIH actually co-owns or part owns part of the Moderna patent. I mean, this is just rife with corruption. So, my point is this. If you want to be the leader of the freedom movement in America, you have to talk about the testing. You have to talk about the PCR tests and how they work. You have to talk about how they're testing and how they're incentivizing it through other ways. You have to talk about how ventilators didn't work instead of trying to be the king of ventilators and bragging about how you sent them all over the world. You have to talk about the medical tyranny and how they're force vaccinating children, which is just completely insane anyway, regardless of what vaccine it is, let alone an mRNA double jab that they're not even sure when your next dose is. At least with the flu vaccine, it's been out for 80 years. They tell you when you need your next dose. They can't even answer when your next dose is because the science is not settled. They're not even really sure yet, because they're still learning about it. That's why it's not even approved yet. So, if Trump's not going to talk about any of this stuff, it's bad enough, but he's on the wrong side of almost all of these issues. So I just don't see how he's going to conserve anything. If you can't get to the bottom of the emergency order, if you can't get to the bottom of pharma, if you can't get to the bottom of the testing and the cases and how they're casing and the variants and how they're going to drag this out for 30 years if they want to, because people can't get to the core of anything. If you're going to be on the wrong side of all these issues, you're not going to be able to conserve the First Amendment. You're not going to be able to conserve schools. What can you possibly conserve if you end up like Trump in 2020 on the wrong side of anything and the country gets locked down, the free market collapses, our Constitution doesn't work anymore? In my opinion, it's time for a new leader. I mean, he did what he did. It was great for the culture. There were a lot of things he brought, but I personally will never vote for him again in the first round. And unless he totally changes his tune again, it's one thing, but I don't do it to be edgy or I'm like, oh man, I'm just finding one thing I really don't like about him. He ended up on the wrong side of almost any issue. And I just don't think it's possible moving forward to be able to conserve anything in this country unless you take a more Ron DeSantis type approach, which is more aggressive, calling it out and not bowing down to this stuff. But I think, I don't know what it is. I can't tell you, but it's definitely not for me. Someone said, someone unseen said, hi, mate, love your work. Trump has his faults, but still is way better than Obama, Bush, and most certainly Biden. Greeting from Sydney, Australia. Well, here's what I want to say, because then I have one more thing to say. But on one hand, he's clearly better than Bush, Obama, in the sense of culturally he's better. He inspired more people to get on the right side of history. He questioned more things. When Trump was in his heyday, he sounded like a YouTuber who was telling the truth, or he sounded like a real deal person. So I think culturally and media-wise, he really provided a lot of value. I think in Syria is some of his best work that remains untainted. Although he did put sanctions on Syria, which I think is messed up, he did de-escalate the war by cutting a lot of the intelligence community funding, I think, to Syria. There's mainstream articles about it. So there's things that he did that were astronomically better than Obama and Bush, and I'm very grateful and appreciative for those. But if you really check, the scorecard with Bush, Obama, Clinton, and Trump when it comes to fiscal conservatism, on the record, when it's all said and done, actions speak louder than words. And unfortunately, Trump is the least fiscally conservative. I think Clinton balanced the books pretty well. Obama and Bush didn't, but Trump printed more money than any of them, all of them probably combined. And there was one Republican who stood up against this. I'm just accurately portraying history. Don't get mad at me. It was Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie saw this in March. He called it a scam. He said that this was going to be the worst bill, the CARES Act, the worst bill in U.S. history because they're printing trillions of dollars behind closed doors and they're using the pandemic as an excuse to not even show you who's voting on it. And Trump not only didn't agree with Thomas Massie, he said to kick him out of the Republican Party. Trump wanted Thomas Massie gone. He tweeted out he's a third-rate Republican and he needs to be kicked out of the party. Go to Thomas Massie's Twitter right now. He's probably the realest Republican on the entire planet. He's talking about the mRNA jabs. He's talking about forced vaccination. Trump isn't. Thomas Massie is. And if it was up to Trump, Thomas Massie wouldn't be here. So Trump was on the wrong side of history. He printed more money than Bush and Obama. The First Amendment collapsed harder under Trump than it did under Bush and Obama. Not only did tech take over, but the lockdowns pretty much made the First Amendment null and void. They were stopping protests in certain areas. And Trump didn't really do anything about it. He was more keen to use the National Guard against his own supporters on the 6th event than he was when Black Lives Matter was and Antifa and whoever these random criminals were terrorizing major cities in America. So on one hand, he was better than Obama and Bush. On another hand, he was actually far worse fiscally, First Amendment wise. And I'll tell you one thing too. He says in this new email, he says, next time I'm in the White House, there'll be no more dinners. So he's setting the stage for I'm going to fight Zuckerberg now. In 2019, we all saw this happening. In 2018, when Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, Alex Jones got kicked off of social media. And we all were trying to sound the alarm. Listen, I know it's just Alex Jones, but at the same time, if they can do it to Alex, they can do it to you. And this was always the plan. Noam Chomsky used to know this. If you don't have free speech for the least popular speech, you don't get it for the most popular speech. Even semi-communist Noam Chomsky used to defend, as a Jewish man, he used to defend people talking about the Holocaust. Even though he didn't agree with them as a Jewish left-wing professor, he defended their right to speak it because he understood the slippery slope of free speech. And he was like, in fascist and authoritarian circles, that's where they delete their speech. But I don't agree with this person, but I have to defend his right to say it, or else we lose free speech. Not only did the GOP under Trump not defend their own supporters in 2018, but Trump actually passed, and I've talked about this, and I'm going to bring it up again, the anti-Semitism executive order in 2019 with Dershowitz and Kushner and all his little buddies, and he passed this law that basically made it harder or a penalty and an offense to protest and boycott and divest sanctions or divest money from Israeli companies. So Trump passed an anti-First Amendment law in 2019 before the pandemic, which made it essentially illegal or a penalty to boycott a foreign country, Israel. And I'll tell you something, I'm not a hateful person. I love everybody in the world except for, jerks of all races and religions. But this is from Memorial Day. I know it's backwards on Facebook, so I'm going to show you this. This is Lindsey Graham with Bibi Netanyahu on Memorial Day in America. And the sign says, more for Israel, more for Israel. Even super pro-Israel backers in the Trump administration were clowning him because it's Memorial Day. What about more for America? Folks, this is a pattern on both wings. They do more for more what? It's Memorial Day. We're honoring fallen soldiers. Are you talking about more dead soldiers? More foreign aid? What are you talking about? Because it's starting to seem a little weird when Trump is dancing in a circle saying, "Ooh, I'm going to fight Zuckerberg." Bro, you were the president in 2019, and not only did you not fight big tech, not only did you not try to save our free speech, not only did you not defend your supporters like Alex Jones, who helped you in 2016 in Milo Yiannopoulos, not only did you not defend any of them, which is bad enough, you actually passed a speech law for a foreign nation stopping people on a college campus from protesting them. And I said this 2 years ago. Why do you think I said it? People would say I'm anti-Semitic. That's not true. I have more Jewish friends. Like the amount of Jewish friends I have are disproportionate because they're not annoying and they're not phonies. I like them as people. But anyway, it's like, I didn't say this because I hate Israel. I didn't say this because I feel a certain way about Jewish people. I said this as a constitutionalist. If you don't support the First Amendment and your right to protest for the people you despise the most, you don't get it for yourself. That's what the First Amendment is. And we lost the right to protest college campuses under Ben Shapiro. And then they did the anti-Semitism speech bill, which stopped people from protesting Israel. And nobody talked about it. Charlie Kirk didn't care. Prager didn't care. Shapiro didn't care. All of them supported it. So they're telling you on their channels, we're fighting for free speech on college campuses. Oh, no safe spaces. As they're creating safe spaces, and they're all for it because they don't support America first. They support Zionism first. They prioritize a foreign country over America. It doesn't matter what it costs. It doesn't matter if it costs soldiers. It doesn't matter if it costs your constitution. It doesn't matter if it costs your future. These people will sell it all out and smile and tell you that they're fighting for free speech. And once again, the reason I say this is no disrespect, no hate. It's all love. When you lose your right to protest a foreign nation, you don't have a First Amendment anymore. And once they established that, what happened in 2020? It wasn't random. All this stuff was written. Well, if we could take away their free speech and we could take away their free speech and we could take away their right to protest and even Trump's in on it, then everybody loses it. And that's what happened in 2020. We all lost our right to speak, just like Alex Jones lost it in 2018. And in one way, I obviously support Trump because no one deserves to get kicked off social media for what Trump did. And to be quite honest, I think they're politically persecuting him on multiple levels, and they're trying to win the 2022 election over Republicans. So that's why they're censoring Trump. So on one hand, I totally support Trump and his right to be on social media. I 100% support it. On another hand, it's hard to feel bad for him, even though I don't agree with it, because it's karma for him letting all his supporters hang out to dry. Alex Jones helped him win the election. In 2016, Trump went on Alex Jones's platform and said, I like what you're doing. And then as soon as he won, Alex Jones got banned on social media. Trump didn't say anything. The GOP didn't say anything. They distanced themselves. They lost the election because it's harder to win an election when big tech's working against your supporters. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And the GOP and Trump didn't care until it started happening to them and their friends. So I don't wish it on anybody, myself, Trump, or anyone. But when you're the president of the United States, you do nothing to back your own supporters, and then you actually do the opposite and pass speech laws, you're going to lose everything. I mean, this is just, so that's what I want to say. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than Trump. I'm a human. Trump's a human. It's bigger than all of us. And I forgive people for what they do, just like I try to forgive myself. But I do want to say this, I think human nature, and this is just my perspective, if you have a blind spot as big as that, you're going to lose. At a certain point, if you don't have the humility and your ego's too big where you just completely ignore all your supporters all the time. Steve Bannon helped Trump win in 2016. Without Cambridge Analytica, without Steve Bannon, Trump probably wouldn't have won 2016. Trump kicks him to the curb, calls him sloppy Steve, and then he loses in 2020 because he's hanging out with Kushner. It's like, no disrespect to Jared Kushner, but it's like, how are you going to throw the guy who helped you win in 2016 to the curb, make fun of how he dresses, and then act like you could win forever? Like, at a certain point, when Trump turns around, all his supporters in 2016 weren't there anymore. I didn't help Trump win in 2016, maybe indirectly, slightly, but probably not. Milo Yiannopoulos helped Trump win in 2016. Alex Jones helped Trump win in 16. Julian Assange helped Trump win in 16, and Steve Bannon helped Trump win in 2016. Someone said I sound like a broken record. I'm just going to say this moving forward. The left takes away your freedom, takes away your liberty. They move left culturally. And what Trump did for 3 years was he just he slowly walked backwards, So it's like at a certain point for the first 3 years, we need someone, and it's not up to me. It's not up to Trump. Like, if you think losing in slow motion is going to work, it's not going to work. I don't care how mad people get at me because it's not about me. I'm thinking 5 years down the road, like Trump walked back for a year, passed the speech law, did all the omnibus bills. And then in 2020, he got knocked so far back, he spun in circles and came out a different person. He came out a vaccine salesman. So it's like we were slowly holding our ground almost, took a few steps back, and now we're 20 yards to the left. And, now it's like you look at Ronna McDaniel and she's like, it's Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. We support gay people. It's like, that's awesome, Ronna. In your personal life, if you support gay people, that's fantastic. But Pride Month is bigger than just supporting the L's, the G's, the B's, the T's, and whatever letter they choose to add on every year. It's a cultural thing. It's part of the cultural Marxist agenda to, take the rainbow away from God and the Irish. The Irish used to love the rainbow, and give it to a group of people that are politically motivated to take the country further left. They hate people like Blair White and Caitlyn Jenner, who are trans and conservative, so it's like you're feeding into their ideology. How are we going to win if the GOP front ladies like celebrating the fact that every company on the planet is changing their flag, to a rainbow in order to push left-wing politics into the whole world? And also now they're flying it at embassies and stuff. Shouldn't we have a leader that says, hey, no disrespect, but we should probably only fly the American flag at embassies? We don't have that leader. We have people who are bowing down to the left and just losing ground. And with Trump, it's kind of the same way. If you not only don't stand up for free speech, but you give it up and you pass speech bills, you're bound to lose. They're purposely just sabotaging us. So whether it's me, Trump, whatever, I don't care who you like or dislike, please, I beg conservatives, demand or support a leader who doesn't just lose in slow motion and put on a cowboy hat or the YMC. Look for a leader, that actually says, what? Instead of going that way, the left is like, let's go that way. And we're like, all right, we're going to go that way just a little bit slower. That's the GOP. It's like the left's like, we're going to fly that way to a one world government, communism, like AI technology. I'm going to get into that later, but whatever. And the GOP is like, well, we don't want to run that way, so we're just going to walk slowly and put out funny emails. And, they're just walking where the left is going. But Trump's so funny when he does it. He's a funny guy. So he's like, hey, I'm fighting Zuckerberg, except for the fact that I really wasn't. But I mean, if you put me back where I was, I'll do something. And they're just going that. What I'm trying to say is, no disrespect to anyone, I'm not walking that way anymore. I'm not waving a rainbow flag. No disrespect to my gay followers. I'm just not doing that in June. June, I've declared American Month or White Boy Summer. I don't know. I'm going to make up my own thing, and then I'm going to inject my politics into it. I don't know. I'm not walking that way. Like, I'm done playing that game. I'm doing my own videos. I'm explaining how, of course, Black Lives Matter, and, God bless all the great Black people of the world. But BLM is used to be run by Patrisse Cullors, who was then actually taught by a Marxist guy who explains his ideology. This is the work. I'm not walking with them and just telling them, I'm over it. I'm over all the stuff they're doing, because they're running our country into the ground, and they're running our political party into the ground. And it's like Trump's just like a more funny guy that's doing exactly what these people are doing. I thought he was going to do something different, but you can't defend free speech while you're giving it up. We need to get somebody who knows that. And I don't know who it is. If not, like I said in my new song, I'm gonna just praise Christ, and maybe I'll just, stop caring about politics completely because it's just a circus. So I'm not trying to sound like a broken record at all, but I really hope if there's one thing people take, the Democrats don't like conservatives. The conservatives in politics don't respect Republicans. They know now that people are so dialed into Trump that they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention to the speech bills. They're not paying attention to the money printing. They're not paying attention that Trump sends out an email every week and brags about every single thing that shut our country down, asking for credit for it. They know this, so they have no reason to change. And there's a lot of change going on in conservatism. And I know people are smart enough. So I'm starting to see a little bit more, a little bit more backlash. I'm starting to see people in the comment section say, you know what? I'm not just going to walk with you. I don't care if it's Ronna McDaniel or Trump or whoever. Like, we like you, Trump family. We appreciate you. But like, when you post about this stuff, I love seeing people finally, because that's what it's going to take. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be as aggressive as me. Just stand your ground calmly and be like, no, it's not going to work. And the only reason I say this is because, I really just think like people are going to figure this stuff out. Like, no one wants to talk about it right now. Nobody wants to take that step, and that's fine. But then it's just like, math and science, like the country's going to just keep going in this direction, at this rate, whether Trump or Biden wins. This is the direction until conservatives realize and, be like, you know what? We have to not only not slowly lose to the left, but we have to start winning again. That was the great culture of Trump, is like, we're going to make America great again. I agree. Make America great again. Make America great again. And then 4 years later, he leaves office and America is crappier than it's ever been. Socially, it's crappier. Politically, it's crappier. Economically, it's crappier. I agree with make America great again, but Trump didn't make America great again. He potentially made it worse than it's ever been. And now he's a vaccine salesman. It's like, if you got to sell vaccines, bro. But if you're not even going to address all this stuff that happened and just be like you didn't make America great again. You made it worse than Obama, Bush, and Clinton. And I didn't like either of them. Someone said, remember what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? I remember. David said, it's you and me. It's all the people here. We need to just stop looking to each other and look at the freaks, Fauci, Trump, Biden, Gates, pension nurses. Not sure what you meant, but God bless you. Change the Rude said he tried. Listen, I'm not trying to be too hard. I don't like, to me, I don't, what did he try to do? Like, it's 2021. It's been over a year. He's not in office. He can email you whatever he wants. How is he trying when he's bragging about masks, bragging about lockdowns, bragging about locking the country down, bragging about, rushing this stuff? He's not trying. Like, if this is trying to you, take that energy, God bless you, and stop playing along. I've said this since April. I sound like a broke. I know, because everything I said in April is coming true. I knew the vaccines were going to be mandatory. Well, Trump's not going to make them mandatory. It doesn't matter. Even if Trump won, they were still going to be exactly nothing would have changed except for the gas prices. They were always going to be mandatory because they were pushing for them to be mandatory in 2019. And they set up the infrastructure and Trump signed all the bills and the corporations just run around and nobody does anything. So it's like, yeah, it might sound like a broken record. I apologize, but it's because everything I was saying in April, no, you don't understand, Anomaly. Trump's going to win the election. And when he wins, he's going to save the day. He's going to save. No, he's not. Even if he's not. So yeah, it gets a little annoying. I'm trying to be as nice as I can, but it's like someone said he's bragging about tyranny. And if you check some of my tweets from April of 2020, last year, I said, guys, he's bragging about communism. When you shut the country down and the government gets to decide, you make ventilators. Well, I don't make ventilators. Well, now you make ventilators, but I'm Honeywell. We don't really even do that much. Well, now you make ventilators. You can't go here. You can't go to the beach. You can't open up. That's essentially communism, soft communism or hard communism, depending how you want to look at it. And he was bragging about that last April. So I was like, guys, how is this guy going to save our freedom at this point if he's bragging about and he's never stopped? So if you think he's trying, this is why we lose. Because instead of realizing this is unacceptable, like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should just sit, by my window and just watch the country crumble. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should just read my Bible and watch the country crumble. Maybe I will. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe that's the right thing to do. Maybe I shouldn't care so much. And to an extent, I obviously do, but to an extent, I'm a pretty chill person. Maybe I should just sit by the window and watch the country collapse. But because I'm an American, I actually like the First Amendment. And I think without the First Amendment and without our Constitution, our country's screwed. And future generations and myself in 10 years, I think I'm going to be persecuted. I think it's going to get really, really ugly for me. I don't think I'm going to be able to grow up a grandpa in a safe neighborhood if these things keep going. I'll have to flee the country or something. I don't think it's going to be possible. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't care if he's trying or not. The Constitution doesn't say, well, if the guy you voted for and you really like was trying, but he wasn't successful, then just sit on YouTube and just keep making excuses for it. That's not what the Constitution says. It talks about freedom of speech, freedom of protest. And when I lose that, I don't care if Ted Cruz pretends like he's trying in Congress. You're not trying hard enough. And my job is not to be a PR team for a politician who tries and doesn't succeed. I thought my job, and maybe I'm wrong, I thought my job as an American citizen was to be like, I'm not giving up the First Amendment. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it's Ted Cruz, Ronna McDaniel, Ronald McDonald. I don't care who it is. It's like, it doesn't, that's what maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should just sit by the window and let my country crumble. But I was under the impression that conservatives actually wanted to conserve these things. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I didn't get the memo. I must have missed the email that said, hey guys, conservatism's canceled. It's not about the free market anymore. It's not about stopping socialism. It's not about not printing trillions of dollars. It's not about fighting medical tyranny. It's not about saving the Constitution. It's actually about just sitting on social media and making as many excuses for Trump as you possibly can, instead of actually standing your ground as an American citizen. I must have missed that email, and I apologize. And I'm not even being sarcastic now. I'm genuinely thinking about just not saying anything anymore, because it's been over a year and a half, and I've said the same thing since last March and last April, and I'm still getting the same responses. Like, well, I think they tried. Well, if this is trying, then you're going to have to try to stay afloat in 20 years, because once demographic change hits in, once Democrats win the elections and it's not even possible for you to win an election again, you're going to see how people treat you when you're a minority if you're white. And they're not going to treat you like minorities now. Oh no, they're going to treat you much, much worse. And they already are. So if you're a conservative, doesn't matter what skin color you are, they're going to treat you like trash. They already do. They're not planning on getting any better. So you get what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I guess he tried. And, I guess I'll have to try to survive in 20 years when I'm an old man, or 40 years, because it's not going to be as easy as in 2020. It's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be a lot worse. And if you look at the cities right now, outside of Trump or Biden, I'm just speaking what it is. Like, LA's getting much worse. Philly's getting worse. New York's getting worse. They're all getting worse. They're all getting more crime filled. And guess what happens after that? The conservative areas don't stay safe because liberals run the show. Whether it's Texas, liberals run the show. Whether it's Florida, DeSantis is doing a good job. But in a lot of areas, it's liberals who run the show. So Miami, there's still going to be stuff going on. It's still cool. But I'm just saying, at a certain point, it spreads out. It's not just LA that's getting worse. It's conservative areas. It's like, as LA gets way worse, then everywhere around it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And at this rate, in 20 years, it's going to be terrible, and the pendulum always swings. I pray that it swings again. But someone said, so now the crime is Trump's fault too. I don't get it. No, I'm not saying it's Trump's fault, but this is the problem with binary thinking. It's either like Trump's going to save me or it's all Trump's fault. I'm not saying any of the sort. I'm not saying it's all Trump's fault. I'm not saying he's going to save me. He's not Christ. I don't pray to Trump every day. I pray to God, and I don't every day, which I should. But in general, it's like, this is not the world. Well, if you're blaming, it's happening whether Trump's there or not. It's happening whether Biden's there or not. So if you don't figure that out and try to demand a leader on your side of politics, you're going to end up like Canada. So what's the point about making excuses for a leader that can't do anything about a problem that no party even wants to talk about? It's going to come either way. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not his fault, but all these things, like, if your whole existence and our whole existence is like losing, just like, well, we're going to get this guy that we know is not going to solve any of the problems. And to be quite honest, he's going to try and fail and, end up 30 steps backwards and even further left than Obama. Then what's the point of even being into politics? Like, I'm not even trying to be rude or sarcastic. I might just sit by the window, read my Bible, and just watch the country crumble, because that seems to be what people want to do. They're like, well, I mean, how's it his fault? It's not. But why would you want a leader there that is on the wrong side of almost every issue? And when it does come time to say or do something about that issue, they're ghost or not. I don't care about their narratives anymore. I don't care what they're saying. I create my own narrative. Like if I listened to their narrative the whole pandemic, I wouldn't be here. But the reason people like to watch my stuff and the reason I got so many shares and so many views is because I wasn't just following Trump and making excuses for him the whole time. I created my own narrative. Here's what PCR tests are. Here's the founder. Here's what he did. Here's his Nobel Peace Prize. Here's the testing. Here's how they tested. I got 5-6 million views on videos before I even talked about the word PCR, just explaining how they're testing, how much they're testing, and how you could get a positive COVID test even if you don't test positive. I did all this stuff in March, April, May. What were Republicans doing? Where was TPUSA and Daily Wire? Where were their bombshell reports with all the millions of dollars of funding they have? And no offense, they didn't exist because they're just putting on a big show. So how am I going to follow and worship a leader or a group or party that doesn't do anything when it's crunch time for America? Last year was crunch time for America, and some people rose to the ranks and some people just put on a show. I'm not interested in the show anymore. No disrespect, but I'm tuning out. I don't care what they're saying. They called me a xenophobe. Well, he's a racist. He called him a racist. Well, Trump's a racist. Well, Tim Scott's a racist. No. It's racist to call Tim Scott that. We're fighting the left's racism. They called me xenophobic. Well, no. I brought the vaccine, not Fauci. Oh, Trump brought the vaccine, not Fauci. Well, no, it's Fauci and Zuckerberg. It's like, I get it. It's a funny show and it's very entertaining, but I'm not. Someone said, so who are you voting for? We'll see when it comes around. But what I'm saying is, the current status quo, I don't think is going to cut it. My personal perspective, I think the America First movement is going to blow past all these other people, and the Charlie Kirks are going to do what they've been doing. They go from calling these kids racist to adapting exactly what they said 2 years ago. The same people that they were calling at TPUSA, oh my God, they're racist, identity Europa. It's like, I don't even know what that means, but the same people they were calling racist for talking about this stuff, now they're parroting exactly what they're saying. Why? Because the truth doesn't matter what you call it. You could call Trump racist and a xenophobe. You could call this person sexist, whatever. It's like, what's the truth? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it true? Is it false? That's all that matters. These words mean nothing. So all of these things that the GOP doesn't want to talk about, it's either they're going to cease to exist completely or they're going to adapt, the America First policies. And I think one of the main things, no offense, but one of the main things in America First is people like Lindsey Graham on Memorial Day holding up signs that say no more for Israel. People are going to get tired of a political party that will pass school laws, speech bills, funding. Meanwhile, there's millions of people who voted for Republicans that are being force inoculated or they can't go to work. And the GOP says nothing. Lindsey Graham says nothing. Donald Trump says nothing. So who am I voting for? Anybody that stands up against medical tyranny more than Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump, or any of them. Right now, the front runners would be Rand Paul and Ron DeSantis and Thomas Massie. But are they perfect? No. But anybody who does more than Trump, absolutely getting my vote. But it's not up to me. I just want to see the culture and the conservative movement, this status quo stuff and these it's not going to work. And everything that has been said, now that these are all main conversations, they weren't 3 years ago. It's going to happen. And in 5 years, it's going to get crazier because I think people are really underestimating what a lot of these America First kids are talking about. Some of it, it might not be fun to talk about. Trust me, I get it. There's certain conversations that's I'd rather not have that now because it's not going to sound right. But in 10 years, it's not going to matter how scared I am to talk about it or how scared you are. I think, I think these conversations are going to be so apparent where either the Republican Party, is going to be forced to move or they're just not going to work anymore. Mark said the problem is the news media for profit business. A reality show is not interesting without dilemma. They've been selling us constant dilemma since CNN was founded and became successful with the right versus left narrative. That's a great comment, Mark, for sure. It's, and Trump is a rating bonanza for them. So they're not going to be mad if he runs again. Trump is the greatest thing that ever happened to media. They're all tanking. Who's doing well? people online like myself, Tucker Carlson. Why have me and Tucker Carlson been doing well even without Trump? It's because we actually say something. CNN has nothing to provide to you. You know, MSNBC, their whole existence revolves around hating Trump. They need a Capitol event. They need a Charlottesville. They need a Donald Trump. They don't hate that stuff. They can't get views. CNN got more views than ever over the Capitol. So this idea that they don't want that to happen, I don't know. I mean, and that's not Trump's fault particularly, but yeah, the media is so wicked. But also, you know, both parties kind of play into it a little bit. I get it. You need to get eyes. You need to get fundraising. Like, I totally get it. But I'm not trying to blame or hate people. I'm just saying I want the base to just be more stand up for yourself. That's it. Whether it's Trump, whether it's whoever, just be like, if they're doing all this whack stuff, like people are like, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait for him. It's like, no, they're just going to do the same show again. Someone said Trump protected Antifa while all his supporters went to jail. Facts. Well, yeah, I don't know about that wording directly. I mean, you can say what you want, but I'm just saying for me, I think he cracked down on his own supporters harder after the 6th than he did, when the riots were happening. That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I get his words and he's funny but like, I mean, at the end of the day, it was all boiling down to 2020. All his first 3 years were really good, but it was all boiling down to what's going to happen. Is he going to lock people up? Is he going to expose corruption? People were hoping he exposed pedophilia on a high level. You know, this was like the big buildup. The first 3 years were the buildup. He was doing well, but it was like, what's going to happen in 2020? That's going to make or break the Trump legacy. And it was the worst year for American economy and First Amendment on record. And here's my thing. I wouldn't blame him for doing it if he showed me that he had a soul and a mind to say, hey, it's not my fault. I didn't do everything, but here, I'm sorry that this happened, or not even sorry, like, hey, I'm going to fight for people's freedom. I'm going to make sure kids aren't. He's on the wrong side of this thing. So to me, it's like build up, build up, build up. We got destroyed. He got his supporters set up at the Capitol. He doesn't seem to care. And he doesn't seem to care about anybody he got set up. Operation Warp Speed set up tens of millions of his supporters with the decision to lose everything or get the inoculation against their will. Doesn't he have a moral obligation to say something? To some people, no, but that's, to me, that's a deal breaker. I wouldn't even care if he did all this stuff as long as he showed me that he was going to spend as much energy or even slightly less defending people's freedoms as he is bragging about bringing it. That's the deal breaker with me. I don't care if he does all this stuff. I don't care if he gets vaccines to people who want it, but it's time to show me that he actually cares about any of the people who voted for him. And I just don't see it. I'm trying to figure out a way. I'm trying to be nicer and more calm, but read a few more and then we'll move on. And I'll say this too, real quick. I know this might sound repetitive too, but this whole thing, if you look at the biggest cause of deaths in America, if you look at why life expectancy is going backwards, if you look at, COVID hospitalizations and COVID deaths, there's one thing in common, or I will say three things. You have mental health is at a decline. One of the reasons, maybe technology. Another reason, there's drug overdoses. Drug overdoses are sending our life expectancy backwards. Obesity is one of the biggest killers in the world, if not the biggest. Diabetes, all these things that are preventable. That's the same thing with COVID. Trump, DeSantis, I saw Lauren Boebert finally say it. I'm not sure if she saw something I said. I'm not trying to take credit for it. I don't care. I hope everybody steals everything I said and act like they made it up themselves. I don't care. It's not about me. Thank you, Lauren Boebert, for saying, what about mandating exercise? Or what about an exercise lottery? These people don't care about our health, guys. It's bigger than me or Trump. If Trump can't say that, he's not my guy. If Biden can't say that, he's not my guy. If Fauci won't say that, he's not the real deal. None of them are the real deal because they're all bragging about a product, and they allowed the country to get less physically healthy and less mentally healthy. And the biggest cause of death in America, and the reason our life expectancy is going backwards, besides pills, which is part of the pharmacy industry, is obesity and mental health. And they made obesity and mental health worse, and they don't care. Trump doesn't care. Biden doesn't care. Fauci doesn't care. I'm not playing in their circus. I'm not running circles around Trump's emails and his narratives. I'm saying, as a free citizen that still somehow has the First Amendment to say this, their whole narrative's fake. Fauci's whole narrative is fake. Trump's whole narrative is fake. Biden's whole narrative is fake. CNN's whole narrative is fake. Unless Fox News is saying this, their whole narrative is fake. The whole left and right fight is fake. If you can't say the simple thing, most hospitalizations were obesity. Most of the deaths were in obese countries. Obesity is one of the biggest killers in the world. Mental health and opioids and drug abuse is lowering our life expectancy. And you're making all these things worse with the lockdowns. If you can't say that, respectfully, maybe not you as a soul, but the demon inside you, it's time for that demon inside you to go to hell, because I'm not playing along. It's that simple. It's that easy. It's that honest. And if none of them will say that, but they just want to sell me products and act like lockdowns and travel bans save the world, then they can go to hell too. Or at least the demon inside them can go to hell, and their spirit can flourish and go to heaven, because I want everyone to go to heaven. But you get what I'm saying? It's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't listen to people make excuses for Trump for a year and a half when the truth is really that simple. And that truth pierces through lies so quickly. You would be shocked. I mean, people get annoyed at me. Sometimes Trump supporters do, sometimes liberals do, but you would be shocked to find out that I probably get less backlash than a lot of people, because the truth pierces. I'm not talking about building a wall. I'm not talking about MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. I'm not talking about Trump's Operation Warp Speed. I'm not doing this. I'm just saying the truth. Most hospitalizations were obesity. Fact. Most of the deaths were in obese country. I think it was something along the lines of 9 out of 10 or in like majority obese countries or something. Fact. But I would have to look up the exact fact before I say fact. You know, one of the biggest drivers of death in the world is obesity, if you consider all the preventable disease that it brings in. Fact. You know, people are unhealthy in this country because they're just feeding us high fructose corn syrup and sugar all the time. Fact. All of those companies are pushing a pharmacy product. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Fact. None of these politicians will talk about it. Fact. It's hard to be physically healthy when they shut down your gym, your park, your beach, your job, and your place of worship. Fact. So if you can't say any of this stuff, I don't want to listen to you anymore. I don't want to get involved in this fight. I'm not going to say I don't have friends anymore. I clearly do, but I don't have this insatiable thirst to impress CPAC or any of these people if they're not going to talk about it. Fact. And if they actually booked me, I would have one of the most powerful speeches of the night, and I would roaring applause, and I would make all of them look stupid with their little dumb speeches about all these things that they can't even conserve because they can't keep the country open with the medical tyranny. Fact. So I don't need their help, and I don't need their approval. I don't want to play in their little games. I don't want to get dressed up to go to an event where everyone's wearing a mask because they can't figure out how to take the masks off, because even in their own states, they're getting dominated by liberals. I'm not living in this world. They create this world and this little fake fight. I'm stepping outside of it. I'm getting stronger. I'm eating better. I'm doing things like fast when I want to. I'm not capitulating to this idea that Trump saved the world with the vaccine. I'm not capitulating to this idea that Fauci saved the world. I think you're both out of your mind, and I think that's part of the game. Someone said, why don't I run? I do run. Don't walk, run. You want to see how fast I am? Hold on. I run all the time. So why don't I run? Every week I run. If you mean run, I don't run for office. I run from office. I run away from those people. Sorry, I don't have shoes or socks on, so I didn't want to slip. If I would have broke my thumb more on live stream, that would have been embarrassing. Don't walk, run. You know, walk softly, carry a big stick. Who said that? Teddy Roosevelt. What was he talking about? Listen, I don't want to get into real history, but it's not what you think, okay? This is not going to be rated. Never mind. You get it. Someone said, I've been hearing the cure. I don't know cures. I'm not a doctor, but I would say out of here, I had this much trust for the health industry. Out of here, I'd had this much trust. Now I have this much trust. So I didn't even have that much trust for them. And they've anything I thought was too crazy for me to hear after last year, I'm I'm listening. Before I'd be like, that's silly. They're really doing that. And then now I'm like, I'll consider it. JB Realtor Gal said, keep faith, brother, keep the faith. Thank you, JB Realtor Gal. And you must be a good realtor to be throwing off money like that. I appreciate it because, that's a pretty penny. So I hope you sell more houses. J Rod said, hey, Anomaly, live your work and your message. Keep putting it out there. I'm trying. Listen, when I say I'm balling, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about I'm trying to be out on the court balling, but I can't even ball right now. I lifted a little bit yesterday, but I'm trying to live it. I'm trying to run. People say run for office, run for office. I'll run from office. I'll run from office out of DC. Did you guys see the Dave Smith tweet where he was talking about how in the world can America fix Iran and all these countries in the Middle East, Afghanistan, if they can't even fix DC? Do people realize how bad these people are? DC, it's like I walked to the White House from Trump Tower. It's not a pleasant walk. I mean, it's not terrible. I've been in worse areas, but it's like White House, all these people in suits and a bunch of homeless people. And, it's like, it sucks. So how come Sacramento is so, you go outside of the capital, any capital, it's almost always just disgusting. So it's like, how in the world are these people going to go around the world when they can't even, you want to fix Iran and Afghanistan? Why don't you fix Washington, D.C.? Make Washington, D.C. a flourishing place. They can't do it. So they got to run around and I'm over it. God's Watching said, I have to give you $5 because you made me crack up watching go off camera just to run past. Look how fast I run. Thank you, God's Watching. I'm not going to say I'm the fastest person in the world because Usain Bolt is really fast. But as far as how fast somebody ran past a webcam and a cell phone at the same time, think about that. Has anybody, I'm just going to throw it out here. Has anybody ran faster than me past an iMac phone, an iMac camera and an iPhone camera on a stand? Has anybody run that fast past an iPhone? I don't know, because you got to go specific. I don't know that anybody's ever done that fast, but it's a very specific award I would have to get, because I'm sure someone's ran faster past just one phone. But has anyone run past two lights at the same time? Maybe not. You ever think about stuff like that? Like, you ever eat like olives and say a word and make it up and be like, do you think anyone else in the world's eating an olive and saying that word right now? Maybe no one else does that. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Someone said you're breaking records. I'm trying to. I have to find something obscure because there's a lot of talented people out there. So if it's not obscure, I probably can't break it. I beat what's my favorite award. I should put it on the wall to troll Facebook. What did they give me the award for when I woke up to all these like negative smear articles about me? It was like Anomaly had the #1 post about Johnson and Johnson. That's about the J&J like vaccine, like, when they retracted it. To me, that's the funniest award I've ever. I should put that on the wall just to troll NPR and stuff and Facebook and say, Anomaly, #1 post about Johnson and Johnson like retraction vaccine or whatever. Like, that's going to be my new award. And it's like, I didn't even know we were playing this game. Like, I'm just out here posting whatever I feel like it. And apparently there was a competition. I didn't realize I woke up to the news that I was #1 and the media was not happy. It's like, this is how pathetic they are. They make a game that nobody wants to play. They make an award show that nobody wants to watch. They give me the award for the gold medal and I don't even care. And then I have to wake up to them crying about how bad I am because I beat them. It's like, if I'm so good at what you're doing, then just just ignore it. Act like there wasn't even a competition, but they were like, there's this big thing we're doing and he won. It's like, then go cry about it. These people are such losers. Someone said, how about you breaking the most toothpicks with a flick of your finger or eating the most ice cream sandwiches in 37 seconds? I don't eat ice cream that much anymore. I mean, I'm not perfect. I still eat like trash sometimes, but ice cream, cheese, it like inflames my throat. I still eat it, but if I ate a lot of ice cream sandwiches, I feel like I would probably be like filled with phlegm and stuff. Thank you, Giovanna. I appreciate it. But I mean, I don't know. Ice cream sandwiches are always a fun time, but I don't know if I could eat the most. You ever seen Kobayashi, the Asian dude, just crushing the hot dogs? I love that guy. He got kicked out. There's a lot of controversy about the Coney Island hot dog competition. Let me tell you, I know a lot about it just from watching, but Kobayashi, they're just eating hot dogs, and like Joey Chestnut comes up and he's like, I'm the new king in town. It's a whole drama. I could go on for hours about it. Don't let me bore you. Trust me, it would bore you. It's actually a very boring story, but I could filibuster on it. If people annoy me, I might. They're like, Anomaly, can you move on? You keep sounding like a broken record. It's like, oh, we're gonna move on in 30 minutes. I'm gonna talk about this for a really long time. What kind of human being doesn't do ice cream? Well, I like ice cream, but I just dairy is not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, I like ice cream. I eat it sometimes, but I just don't eat it as much anymore. Yeah, I don't know. It's not for me all the time. I have binges sometimes where I just order a disgusting amount of terrible food and I just feel like terror. I feel horrible. Like sometimes I just see an ad for some food. I'm like, what if I just got $40 worth of this food? And then I eat it all and it's like 12 o'clock at night and I feel terrible. So I try not to do that. But, a good ice cream scoop or two. I have one friend, every time he comes and hangs out, we always get ice cream. But, you get it. Someone said ice cream is good for the soul. Well, here's the thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical advisor. But, every time people have some problem, they're like, eat ice cream, eat ice cream. I think dairy and ice cream and cheese, it can be inflaming. And I think if you have mucus or like a problem in your throat and you eat a lot of cheese, to me, it feels like it turns into mucus, not to be gross, but everyone's like, eat ice cream if you feel sick. It's like, I don't know that that's such a good idea. I'm not a doctor. I don't know, but my old thing is like, oh, my tonsils are out. Let me eat as much ice cream as I can. It's like, I don't know. Literally. Someone said turmeric smoothie. I mean, I like smoothies better than ice cream sundaes or whatever. Here's my smoothie. My smoothie is this: banana, one or two bananas, organic if you can. Peanut butter, almond butter, nut butter. I got cashew butter, flaxseed, whatever. Throw whatever you want in there. Peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, any butter if you want to get crazy. But like, you know what I'm saying? Bananas, peanut butter, almond butter. And then sometimes I throw a few blueberries in if I'm feeling crazy. I do oat milk. You can do almond milk, whatever. I do ice cubes. I still have my Trump ice cubes. I use Trump ice cubes. They're shaped like its head. They're perfect for smoothies, to be honest. And then I put in cinnamon. I put in organic cacao powder, cinnamon. Sometimes I sprinkle a little turmeric or ginger in there if I'm feeling turmeric-y and gingery. Then you just mash that all up. And to me, that tastes way better than a chocolate sundae. You drink a chocolate sundae and I feel like trash afterwards. Like an hour later, my stomach, it just hurts. I drink a smoothie like that, I feel golden. So bananas, almond butter, peanut butter, whatever, don't matter. A few blueberries if you're feeling crazy, cinnamon, cacao, almond or oat milk. Stir that baby up. That's what I do. Let me see what I have. Hold on one second. Hold on. I'm just curious now because I just got this thing. It's like some sort of nut butter. This is not a promotion. I mean, listen, my price is more than that, but this stuff has cashews, almonds, Brazil nuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, hazelnuts, pumpkin seeds, Celtic sea salt, all organic. I mean, come on, stop playing. Cashews, almonds, Brazil nuts. I don't even know what Brazil nuts are, but I'll eat them. And get your mind out of the gutter. You're disgusting. Flax seeds, chia seeds, hazelnut, pumpkin seeds, Celtic sea salt. Now that's good, my friends. I don't know where I got that. I do know where I got that, but I can't specify. And it's upside down. Why? I don't know. Maybe a marketing tactic. Someone said nuts are not human food, bro. Who said I'm a human? No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. I'm not a dietitian. I'm just saying what I do. Someone said I like drinking beer and lifting weights. And your name is Dingleberry Pie. God bless you. Listen, I'm not a health guy. I just try to do what I do. Someone said I eat bark. Yeah, I don't know if you should eat bark, but if you do, I mean, clearly you're healthy enough to type. So I don't. You're talking about tree bark or chocolate bark, dogs bark. So you just eat it. Never mind. Can't say that on here. Someone said organic tastes better, sweeter because it doesn't get sprayed with pesticides. Yeah, I think if you could find true organic stuff, it's always better. But do I eat meat? I do. Isn't cinnamon bark? It might be. I don't know. Cinnamon bark. Whatever. Someone said our bodies tell us what feels better for us. Some is part of our genetics. Yeah. I'm not, once again, I'm not a doctor. Organic air is good. All right, I'm gonna stay for like 10 more minutes, but hopefully I didn't annoy too many people with today's live stream. I try to not be too annoying or too upset. I get a little passionate, but hopefully it went over well. We'll see. Flax seeds kill testosterone. Is that true, Behoff? Well, that explains a lot because I've been feeling, no, I'm just kidding. But Anomaly, did you see Damian Lillard make 12 threes game 5? I didn't watch the whole game, but I kept watching part of it because he kept sending it into overtime. So I did see that. He needs to get a better team because they keep losing. But yeah, Damian Lillard's exceptional. Someone said, good point about not mandating exercise. How can we make a proposal for that? This is the first thing I thought of in March. Even when I was like, maybe this is really bad. I don't know. You know, I'm like, maybe this is bad. But if they can mandate a lockdown, they can mandate an exercise. You can't really mandate a lockdown. I guess they can. Well, then mandate an exercise. We would have saved millions of lives. Trump didn't. I'm not trying to get emotional again or passionate again. Trump didn't save millions of lives with his jab. You could save 1 million lives with a workout routine. It's like these people are trying to act like hurting you is helpful. The left did it. Oh, if we lock you in your house and put you in a mask for a year, we're saving your life. It's called Stockholm syndrome. It's when the slave master or your master is hurting you, but you just have this like obsession with them. And Trump is trying to be Stockholm syndrome Trumpy. He's like, I saved you with all of my lockdowns and vax. It's like, dude, who knows how many millions of people suffered physically and mentally who aren't even here with us because of the lockdowns, because of missed cancer screenings and tuberculosis. There's pros and there's cons. So yeah, if they really wanted to save lives in something that was way less risky, it would have been mandatory workouts. And it's the same sort of thing where it's like, you might get hurt working out, but we're not liable. Oh, what do you know? We're not liable either. You get it. Let's calm down. We don't want to go there. Someone said, next is the grocery, please. My concern is this, without going on too much. My concern is if conservatives, because I'm not trying to be mean to liberals, but I don't have any faith in liberals anymore. In a weird way, I go harder at conservatives. It's not because I hate conservatives. I just have no faith in liberals. Like if liberals were on the board, I'm just like, chalk it up. If they want to listen, they can come to my live stream. But if they don't, I don't know what they're doing anymore. I go at conservatives because I think there's so many. If conservatives get smart, we can prevent this from happening again. If conservatives don't get smart about what happened, whether it's Trump or not, this is going to happen. Again, they already have plans for so many different ways to do this. So that's why I'm so concerned. Maybe I could be nicer. Maybe I shouldn't be so passionate, but I'm concerned because we're sitting ducks right now. The fact that like 50-60% of the conservative movement still doesn't get it, still doesn't want to talk about it, still doesn't understand Trump's role, still thinks it's okay to lock somebody down and save them with a vaccine. It's like, I don't care if there's 1,000 vaccines and everyone's taking them, but my freedom is not up for ransom. Like, oh, Trump had to do this or else we could have never get free. If that's your mindset, they're going to take it away again because you think it's okay for them to do that. In your head, you're like, well, it makes sense. I mean, the only way I could be free is with a COVID vaccine. It's like, what about your entire life? That was never an option. They made that up. They created this whole fake world and then said, this is how you get free. And I thought only liberals fell for that stuff. But because of Trump, people were like, well, that's the only way. I know you're kidding, but I'm saying I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely concerned if conservatives don't get smarter about what happened, this is going to happen again. No question this is going to happen again. So if enough of the base gets smarter about it, it'll be fine. And it's happening. I just go harder because it's like, to me, it's like fourth quarter. I'm like, listen, we don't have what we had in 2018. The world has changed. They've played their pieces. We are where we are. And, if they do a Trump dance again and people fall for the same thing again, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to sigh. I'm not going to be that mad. I'm going to be like, oh man, they got us. Those tricksters got us again. Dante said Anomaly gives the truth and can still be positive. That's why I love his content. Thank you, Dante. I try to be funny. I try to be positive because, no one likes just being like scared about it, or like upset. I'm really not upset. I don't know. I try to be funny. I try to get passionate, but it doesn't always come off well. But that's why I used to do jumping jacks and stuff because can I do jumping jacks? I don't know. You get it. We try to keep it positive. Someone said absolutely it will happen again, and they're going to do it through the variants. So I don't care if it's Trump, DeSantis. To be quite frank, maybe I'll never say both of their names again after this live stream, and I'll just tell you what I think. This way people don't feel about it because it's like variants. Guys, if they did this with the flu, there's a variant. Google Scientific American flu vaccine misses its mark. Google that if you want to know about variants. Scientific American flu vaccine misses its marks. I'll look it up right now. So, maybe this is interesting to you guys because the variants is not a new thing when it comes to infectious diseases. Like this is hold on, Scientific American. Oh, what do you know? It's already saved for me. Thanks, Google, for knowing what's in my mind. So this is the Scientific American. It says flu vaccine. This is from 2019. Flu vaccine selections suggest this year's shot may be off the mark. The strains chosen for the Southern Hemisphere vaccine suggests the Northern Hemisphere one may not provide optimal protection. But I heard it does provide optimal protection, Scientific America. Tell me why it doesn't. Okay, Anomaly, I'll tell you exactly why. Thanks for talking to me, Journal. It's never an easy business to predict which flu virus will make people sick the following winter. And there's a reason to believe 2 of the 4 choices made last winter for this upcoming season's vaccine could be off the mark. Twice a year, influenza experts meet at the World Health Organization to pore over surveillance data provided by countries around the world to try to predict which strains are becoming the most dominant. The Northern Hemisphere strain selected meeting is held in February. The Southern Hemisphere meeting occurs in late September. The selections that officials made last week for the Southern Hemisphere vaccine suggest that 2 of the 4 viruses in the Northern Hemisphere vaccine that doctors and pharmacies are now pressing people to get may not optimally protect this winter. Those 2, influenza A/H3N2 and the influenza B/Victoria virus. So, they tried to scare the crap out of everybody with the flu for 50 years. And the push was way harder even 56 years ago. A lot of people don't know, but look up Mike Wallace and this lady who was crippled because of a certain thing. You can find that. But anyway, this is not new, these words and numbers and, oh my God, the variant. It's not new science. This happens every year with the flu vaccine. A lot of times it doesn't work because there's so many variants. So the fact that they sold people that this COVID vaccine was the flawless lifesaver that you need a tattoo of, they don't even know yet when you should get your next dose. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying they sold this to you like it was the golden ticket from Willy Wonka. I got a golden ticket. It's mine, Charlie. I've got a golden chance to, you got what I'm saying? That it's not, and it never was. It's like they don't even know when your next shot is. And there's going to be variants just like there are with the flu. And the flu vaccine's been around for 80 years. And it still doesn't always work because they go to the World Health Organization, like I said earlier, and say, here's the hemispheres, north and south. I thought it was east and west, my bad. And they determine which ones they think it's going to be. But sometimes they guess wrong. Sometimes there's a new variant they didn't even know. So it doesn't always work. And I'm guessing it's going to be the same with COVID, except now they successfully scared the crap out of everybody and scarred people for life. So people are going to buy into it. If you said, hey guys, the flu vaccine missed the mark this year, 100,000 people are dead and it's the Victoria virus, No one cared. No one read that article. There was no big push on social media, even though tens of thousands of people were dying during flu season. But now the flu disappeared and there's COVID and they're just counting. And now there's a strain. Oh, now we need to shut down Canada and the UK because of a strain. Guys, if we need a leader that understands this. If not, they're not my leader. I will look to God. I'm not looking to Trump. I'm not looking to any Republican who won't say this stuff, because this is how they're going to try to take away your freedom in the winter. And numbers are going to go up again. Unless, I'm wrong and this thing disappears. Why wouldn't they? Look at the seasonal flu. The seasonal flu. What do they call winter? Flu season. Where's the flu now? It's gone. Where'd it go? I don't know, but there's this COVID thing here. Okay, sure. Yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah, because the flu just never went anywhere for like 80, 90 years. And now there's COVID, there's all these tests and people. Okay. So, could it possibly be? I'm no doctor, I'm no virologist, I'm no scientist. Could it possibly be that now the COVID season is going to be the old flu season because now it's COVID? Is it possible it's going to gain in the winter? Of course it's possible. And what do you think is going to happen in the winter? Are they going to talk about seasonal? No, they don't talk about, look, the cases are down. Well, yeah, it's summer. When have the cases not been down during summer besides the first year when they went from having no tests to a lot of tests? Then the cases are going to go up because you go from this many tests to this many tests. But after the first year of doing that, once testing is more normal, now what happens in the summer? Cases go down just like they used to for the last, century under the flu. But now that we have a new one called COVID, it goes down in the summer. Oh, wait, when did they roll the vaccine out? They rolled it out in the winter. Oh, no, they rolled it out in the summer. Oh, right amongst summer. Isn't that interesting? So look, the more people who get it, it goes down. Seasons don't exist anymore. There's climate change, not winter, summer, spring, and fall. There's like climate change going on all over the place where we need to lock down again. Okay, what's going to happen in the winter? They're going to do the same thing that they did last winter and try to lock the country down again. And unless Trump or DeSantis or Republicans get smarter about this, they're going to be sitting ducks. So that's why I'm talking about it. Because if everyone's running circles around Trump, this is my circle run, by the way. I need some exercise. And Trump, while you're running circles around it, here's all he says. It's like a merry-go-round. It's like, I did the vaccine faster than anyone before. It would have taken 5 years under Fauci. I did it in under 1. Really, I supported masks before Fauci did. I was before him on the masks. I'm the father of vaccines. I saved the world. The world is saved from my vaccine. Perhaps 100 million people would have died like the Spanish flu without me. If Trump's running in circles and everyone's just, but anomaly, he tried. I don't know why I sound like Seinfeld, by the way, but whatever. It's too late to change my way. He tried his best, anomaly. But if he didn't rush the vaccines, how are we ever going to be free? How are we going to be free if there's no Pfizer and Moderna? Besides the rest of my life when I was free before that. But anomaly, he's going to make America great again. He was only the president of the United States. Oh my God, I'm going to fall over from being dizzy. But if Trump's the carousel and everyone just follows it, guys, we're going to be screwed again very soon. So I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying people need to figure this out on the Republican side because Trump is the carousel. And if you're just watching the show, they're going to bring the variants next winter it's like so crazy. But let's calm down. I'm hungry. That's what I mean in 2 minutes or less. That was probably more effective than the rest of my live stream, but I'm not good with impressions. So sometimes I default to like one. Someone said anomalies related to Seinfeld. No. I have a very familiar look to me though, where like it works in my advantage. Like I had Trekka on. If you guys watched my interview with Trekka from Syria, I had Trekka on and we look like brothers. We really look similar, but we're not. I've never met him in real life. He's Syrian. I don't think I'm Syrian at all, but I'm Italian, Polish, Puerto Rican. But if I'm around like Middle Easterners, people will be like, oh, you're like this. And I'm like, no, like I could fit in. It worked when I had to go through certain neighborhoods for work and stuff. Like I just kind of fit in. Not with my long hair, I look stupid, but you get what I'm saying. I fit in and I'm like, they're like, are you Armenian, bro? And I'm like, no, not Armenian. I have a familiar face. So sometimes people think I'm Jewish. They're like, you Jewish? I'm like, no. Are you from Turkey? Are you Iranian? You look like my cousin. I'm like, apparently I look like everyone's cousin because I look like I could almost be anything. I would say I'm definitely not black, but then, if you bring in Sean King and Kamala Harris, I would say the boy is definitely darker than them. So who knows? Maybe I'll get my 21andMe. Maybe I have a little bit of sub-Saharan in me. Nancy said, look at the charts after cases around the world, spiking everywhere. Just a coincidence, though. Wait till flu season. I hear you. You got Brown 32. I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super chat. Someone said that's what happens when you're mixed. Yeah, but you gotta be a certain kind. You gotta be a certain kind of mix. Like if I went into the Middle East, I could fit in for sure. I would have to calm down with the hair, though. I think. Someone said you can't be black. Biden said so. You can't be black, Jack. Let me tell you about Corn Pop, okay? Corn Pop was not just a cereal. He was a gangbanger, okay? And, when I was in the hood, Corn Pop, I'd eat Corn Pops in the morning, go see Corn Pop at the pool, and then I'd start just doing really weird stuff with kids. You're like, what? Biden's story. He's like, kids are rubbing my legs. My hairy my legs the hair stood up in the pool, and they love that. It's like, I don't know. When I was a kid, we used to have Nerf balls and like squirt guns, but I don't know. Maybe I was a privileged kid or something with toys. I guess if you're in the hood and all you have is Joe Biden's hairy leg to play with, then I guess that's what you do. But, at a certain point, it is a little questionable. No matter how much money you have, it's a questionable game to be playing. But I don't judge because, I've played games when I was in my room with lights and stuff. If you don't got a lot of resources, you just got to make fun with what you get. But I would assume playing with Joe Biden's hairy legs would be the last thing I would want to do as a kid. But, at the end of the day, I'm not going to judge. Only God can judge. Christian Ada said, I stopped following politics, the news, Hollywood, YouTube influencers, because in the end, they're all the same crap. Yeah, I'm over the whole circus. Like I like to talk about it in my own way and I make it what it is. But as far as like, I don't care. And it's a blessing. Like I just don't care that much anymore where like I'm not like self-deprecating. Like I don't care about anything anymore. It's like, I get what they're doing and I'm just over the whole circus. They're like, I'm going to run again. Maybe I'm going to run. I'll be in the White House. What do I mean? White House? White House? Oh, I didn't mean the White House. I meant a White House. It's like, are you going to, I don't know. Just tell me. Someone said, you sure we're judging today? I'm sorry. I'm not judging. I just don't want that. I'm not following that. And I personally think if enough people follow that, the country is going to continue the direction it's in. It's like pushing on the gas pedal when you're already going fast. You're probably going to go faster. So I'm not hating. People are like, you hate. If I were 20 times meaner about someone liberal, no one would accuse me of being hateful. But I mean, technically judging, let's look up the definition, I guess form an opinion or conclusion about. Okay, I was judging. I was a little judgy, but at the end of the day, only God can judge. This is my opinion. Take it or leave it. It's not worth that much, but it's Charlie's golden ticket. You take it, you get a free lottery, you get a free donut, you come and get it, and that's how you know it's real. All right, take care, Stu. All right, let's end on a good note. Dory said arrogance. I don't know if you're talking about me or someone else, but it's okay. Someone said, I love that Trump did in fact make America better. Let's see someone else doing it with all the hate that man got. I don't want to harp on this, but I'm trying to figure out, if you go through the 4 years of Trump, I don't think America got better, honestly. I think it got much worse, but I don't know. I'm not blaming him per se, but this idea, like, do you really think when he walked out the door in 2021 to force masking, forced inoculation, you think America was better than when he got here? I don't think so. I mean, the rallies were lit. You know, there's definitely a bunch of winners on social media, but I would vote that the country's much worse after his term. But I'm not blaming him. I think, you really think it got better? Even if you blame Bill Gates or Biden or whoever you want to blame, you really think it got better? I don't believe you, but whatever. Centrality said, talk to Ryan Dawson. He's very popular on here. A lot of people say that. So tell him to reach out to me. I don't know much about him, but tell me to reach out to him. Andrew said, you're crazy. Not sure what you're smoking, bro. All right. I'm gonna be calm today, but like, guys, people are so obsessed with Trump. They can't even tell. All right. When Trump got into office in 2016, there was no lockdown. There was no mask mandate. There was no travel ban. Cruises were open. Gyms were open. Florida was better. Texas was better. California was better. Every part of anywhere I've ever been was better before Trump got into office. Am I blaming him for all of that? No. Is it 100% his fault? And he specifically just made the country horrible with his own mind? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I would say it's not even debatable that the country was way worse when he walked out of the office. I'm not smoking anything. I'm not trying to be mean, but what are you smoking? You love Trump so much you can't admit that 2021 on January 20th, when he walked out of the door, America was much more in shambles than when he got there. Do you really believe that? This is what I'm talking about. Not trying to be mean, but it's like he's become a religion. People will worship him on a wall and they'll ignore what's going on. Like, I can't even think of an area that's better now than it was before Trump was in office. I think almost uniformly the country is worse off than when he got there. Culturally, he was good. Energy-wise, he was good. Challenging the media was good. But when it's all said and done and he walked out the door without blaming him or praising him, if I looked at America in 2021 and I looked at America in 2016, I would say every part of it got worse. Cruises are now almost permanently shut down. Travel, you have to wear a mask in every state from Texas to South Dakota. Every part of the country is worse. Someone said drama queen. Do you really believe yourself? Like, I love Trump so much, I'm going to act like vaccine mask lockdown world and force masks on airplane and cruises shut. I'm going to act like that's better. Oh, that's way better than 2015, where you could travel anywhere you wanted in the world, travel anywhere you could in America, never had to wear a mask on an airplane, could go on a cruise with no problems, weren't being harassed at work or if you joined the military. Come on. I know you don't believe this. Like, I know you just love Trump so much. You're going to try to pretend like the country was better when he left. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying the country is way worse. Portland is worse. I would say even conservative areas are worse. Every city's worse. The military is being treated worse. Cruises are worse. Planes are worse. Airline service is worse. Tell me what part of the country got better? What part of America got better from 2016 to 2021? Someone said that part isn't comparable. Once again, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying, is the country better or worse? If you don't think mask mandates, vaccine mandates, lockdowns, gym shutdowns, travel, if you don't think that's part of, is America better now? That's all of it. Like, what is America besides travel, work, school? Like, that is America. Someone said Florida is not as good as it was. I went to Florida before the lockdown. Florida was way better before the lockdown. You could get on a cruise boat without being forced masks or forced vaccinations. I could fly to Florida without a mask. Even Florida is worse. Is Florida doing a better job? Yes. Is Florida better now than it was 3 years ago? No, it's worse. It's worse. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, come on, guys. You love Trump so much that you don't care about any of this stuff. It's unbelievable. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. This is going to happen again because conservatives live in this world where it's like, what part of Florida? Someone said, what caused all those things, Anomaly? The lockdowns, the COVID-19 and the vaccine rollout, which Trump had a part in all of them. Besides the actual virus itself, Trump was a part of it. So is it all his fault? No. Is he completely innocent like he tried to stop it? No. He brags about it to this day. So guys, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, if this is what it means to be a Trump supporter now, like, count me out. I can't be a part of like a religion that is like going to lie about everything just because they want to make excuses for a guy they like, when I'm not even blaming him. But if you act like he had zero role in that and he was so hardly trying to fight it, you're just lying to yourself. I'm not a liar. I don't have time. Someone said Florida's wide open. Guys, even if this was true, I've been to Florida before. I've been to Florida after. Cruises are not open. You can't get on a Royal Caribbean. You can't get on a Carnival. Cruises are now forced vaccine. DeSantis is trying to sue them. It's not the same for me. That's what I like to do in Florida. So is it better? It's not wide open. And the fact that you think it's wide open just shows you why Democrats have an easy time taking things away from you. They shut down an entire industry, which is one of the draws. Is Florida more open than California? Of course. Is Florida wide open? No. They took things away from you and you brag about it. So they're going to keep taking and keep taking and keep taking and keep taking. And eventually you're going to be here and it's over. So come on, guys. No, Florida's worse than it is now. Is it better than other states? Yes. Is it 100% open? No. Would I rather be in Florida to some extent? Well, no, I just live there if I wanted to be. But this is why Democrats take. This is like with imagine income tax. Income tax, they started it. It was temporary. Income tax grows and grows and grows and grows. And now it's grown so big, whether you vote Trump or Bush or a liberal, income tax is bigger than it initially was under a Democrat. So they grow it. And now you're going to defend a 35 or 20% income tax. It's like, to me, it's too much. I'm not going to complain about it every day of my life, but that's what they do. They grow it. And then you end up defending what was bigger than what was there 30 years ago. The Trump movement ended up being, with the lockdowns, with the printing of the money, further left than Obama. But you're like, well, it's not free. Florida's better than most states, but if one of the coolest things to do in Florida, which is cruising, is now forced vaccination and forced masks, so you can't get on a cruise boat, and the governor has to sue the CDC, it's not as good as it used to be. It's worse. And the fact that people love it getting worse, why would it stop getting worse? You guys love it. You guys like hold on to it like it's a trophy. So the country's going to spiral, and it's not liberals' fault. Conservatives love losing. They love losing cruises. They love losing air travel without a mask mandate. They love losing millions of their own supporters and workers who hit me up in the messages all the time and say, Anomaly, I'm 18 years old and I'm being forced vaccinated. Anomaly, I'm 20 years old and I can't go back to school unless I get a forced vaccination. And I'm like, don't worry, I have resources for you. I'll help you. And other conservatives are like, the country's better now because of Trump. It's wide open here. It's not wide open. Kids are screaming for your help. And you guys are like, well, we're Florida and we wear a Trump hat. Cool. Florida's worse than it used to be. Is it better than other states? Yes, but you lose. You lost freedom. You lost entire industries. You've lost the right to travel without wearing a mask like a slave or a prisoner. And I don't like it. I don't like it when I travel to South Dakota, which I've been. I don't like it when I travel to Florida, which I've been. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of losing the ability to breathe air on an airplane without a mask on my face like a slave. So I'm not going to just roll over and be like, oh, it's even better than it used to be. No, it's not. It's worse. Someone said DeSantis is doing his best. I don't care what he's doing. The conservative movement is not doing their best. Let's say DeSantis is doing their best. The movement's not. You're not. You're not. No offense. I'm not. I'm doing what I can, but okay, say DeSantis and Trump are doing it. The movement's not, because you lose. If your best is losing, if your best is trillions of printing, if your best is losing cruises, if your best is turning, an industry that used to be somewhat okay into a forced mass industry, you losing's not good enough. You're going to keep losing. You love losing. Someone said, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of conservatives being obsessed with losing. losing airplanes, losing almost every corporation on the planet, losing the cruise industry, losing your right to travel without a mask, losing tens of millions of kids who are being forced vaccinated or kicked out of school, losing a bunch of corporations, losing access to places. Oh, but it's better than it used to be. No, it's not. You're in a cult. I'm tired of it too. I've been tired of it for a year. Someone said we have our own planes. Well, congrats on having your own plane. It's not better. America's worse and Florida's worse. That's not even really debatable. But you guys love losing. Stop losing. It's really so simple. It's really so simple. It's been this simple since April, but not to sound like a broken record, conservatives love pretending like they actually like conserving things, but when the Constitution slips up, when kids are screaming for help, when kids are being forced vaccinated, even in Florida, there's tens of thousands of kids still being forced masked. DeSantis takes a selfie with kids with a mask behind him. Whoa, it's better than it was. Florida's not better than it used to be. If there's 10 kids standing behind the governor who's a Republican and nobody's saying anything about the fact that they're forced to wear cloth over their face like slaves and prisoners. Do you have no soul? Do you not care about the kids? They're crying for help in my Instagram every day saying, Anomaly, you're the only one who seems to care. How come you're the only one who seems to care? There's 100 million Trump supporters, but you're the only one who seems to care about us. Because Trump supporters would be like, this is better than it used to be. Hey, Dad, I'm being forced vaccinated or I can't go to Rutgers. Well, no, shut up, Susie. This is better than it used to be because didn't you hear Trump got into office and DeSantis is in office? Well, I'm still being forced vaccinated. Well, don't worry. They're crying for your help. At what point did people stop acting like this is better? It's not better. And there's millions upon tens of millions of workers and children looking for your help. And all you have to, it's better than it. No, it's worse. Florida's worse. America's worse. Before Trump got in, both were better. More free, more open, no forced masks, no forced inoculation, cruise industry, air travel is more pleasant. All of that is worse across all 50 states. And it's not even really debatable. But people would rather, if Biden, in an alternate universe, if Hillary Clinton were president, let's just say everything stayed the same. I know it's not. Everything stayed the same. Hillary Clinton did everything that Trump did with Operation Warp Speed, everything that Florida did, everything with the cruise lines. They did their best. No one would be making excuses for it. No one would be saying it's better. Not a single person would say the world's better now in 2021 than it was in 2016, or the country's better now. It's only because of Trump. People said, what should we do? Guys, come on. This can't be it. What should we do? Just stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to the country. Enjoy your day. But it's like, what? I don't know. If your whole life revolves around running in circles around politicians and lying on their behalf, then what's the, like, what do you mean? Just don't do that. It's someone said 2019 was lit. 2019 was 1,000 times more free than 2021. In all 50 states. Someone said tyranny light. Exactly. I mean, California's opening up. Is it the same as it used to be? Not really, no. I mean, I've been to South Dakota. It was cool, but you still have to do things on the airplane. And the airplanes are controlled by whoever, so you don't even have a say in South Dakota. Just like, I love cruises. I like Ron DeSantis to an extent, but it doesn't exist anymore. They stole that from us. All they do is steal. Democrats take and take and take and take. They take a little by little, and then sometimes they take a lot. And it would require Republicans looking at it and being like, hey, that's what the don't tread on me flag is supposed to say. Stop taking things from me. That's why sometimes I like libertarians even better. Like, you got to stop stealing everything. But the conservative says, well, when Trump is involved in stealing it, it's fine. It's not his fault. I'll make an excuse for it. It's better than it used to be. I love getting things stolen from me. Well, then they're going to keep stealing. It doesn't matter if DeSantis is there or he loses. Like, why would the Democrats stop stealing stuff when you guys are obsessed with them stealing it? Either it's like when Trump's in office, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm not even blaming him, but it's like, who really thinks that America 2021 is more free than 2016? Someone said own a boat and tell them to shove it. Well, unfortunately, I'm not rich enough to own like $100 million boat. These boats are bigger than the biggest hotels. I don't have enough money to buy a cruise boat, but I would love to. All right, we got to end on a positive note, but it's like someone said, come on, dude, we all know who lost. I'm not trying to be mean. I really feel like Trump brainwashed people. It's like I keep hearing the same things like an NPC. It's like talking to a liberal. Well, you're racist. You're xenophobic. Well, what about the climate change? What about George Floyd? It's like you get the same script on loop. At a certain point, they call it an NPC. It's called a non-playable character. Like it's when you play a video game and there's just the one guy standing to the side who says the same thing all the time. It's robotic. That's what the right wing under Trump is. Well, he tried his best. Well, what should we do? Well, the election was stolen. Well, you know who lost. Well, what do we do? It's like, guys, it's starting to feel like brainwash. It's starting to feel like Trump programmed your brain to only say 4 things like a pull string doll. And then I say like an objective truth outside of that bubble and people freak out at me. They were like, it's way better after him. No, it's not. You think Trump made America great again by locking down the country and being involved in a vaccine rollout? Then I want no part in what you think is good, because to me, that's not good. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful to have leveled up in my life. I'm enjoying my life. I'm not crying and letting it get me down. But, at this rate, there is going to be a no America in 15 years because conservatives just love it. It's like, come on, guys. I'm watching so many neighborhoods that used to be super, super safe just decline and decline and decline and decline and decline. And it's spreading into conservative areas and decline and decline and decline. And Biden just prints money and Trump just prints money and Trump just operational. It's like, guys, I don't care who is involved. It's like, this isn't sustainable. It's just not. Someone said, why don't you plan to move then? I'm fine where I am, but I'm just saying eventually there's going to be nowhere to move. If you want to move somewhere safe, move to Vermont and Maine. If you like cold weather, Vermont and Maine are the 2 safest states. And coincidentally, they're also the 2 whitest states. And they're also really cold and most people don't want to go there. So if you want to be safe, move to Vermont. But if you think you're going to be safe in Florida or California or Arizona, eventually, it's going to make its way everywhere. Texas, areas of Texas that used to be safe. I've heard people getting robbed all the time, even in Fort Worth. Well, move to Fort Worth. Dallas-Fort Worth is safe. Everybody I know that moved to Fort Worth had their car stolen. Somebody stole something out of their car. How safe could it possibly be if I only know 2 people who moved there and they both got an expensive piece stolen from their car? The point I'm trying to get to is not to hate on anybody, but what happens in liberal areas, it spreads to conservative areas, and it's going to become a bigger problem as things start to pan out. I'm not trying to be a fearmonger or anything, but at a certain point, there's going to be nowhere to move to. Everybody used to move to America. Now people are busting their asses out and going to Mexico. I know people who moved from America to Mexico to get freedom. That's how bad America got under Trump, under the lockdown. So I'm staying here. I love America. I'm going, I'm not trying to go anywhere, but at a certain point, America was the place to move to. We'll move here. California used to be good. Now California's going to shit. Texas is this close to being a blue state, and then the whole thing's going to slide faster than a mudslide. So at a certain point, you could move. I'd suggest if you don't like where you live, find somewhere else. But eventually, there's going to be nowhere to move to. So I'm not trying to run in circles like a coward. If I really want to leave, I'll go somewhere like Florida. But this is the point I'm trying to make. Everyone runs to America. It's not going to be that way in 5 or 10 years. So I don't want to run. And I don't need to run right now, but I'm just noticing areas that are super, super nice are now just okay. Areas that were okay are just shitty. Areas that are shitty are just getting super, super shitty. And I've traveled to a few states and I know people in a few states. This is happening everywhere. Now it's not just hood violence in the hood. Now people are going to the suburbs and stealing cars and doing this. It's happening across all 50 states. The country is starting to decline. There is no law and order. People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to get edgy. They just want to fight Trump or, fight for climate change or stand up for Trump and just parrot what he says and say, what do we do? It's like, you get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean, but someone said under Trump, this has been going on for decades, my friend. Leanne, I understand this has all been going on for decades, but I'm talking about the lockdown. the lockdown under Trump that he in no way, shape, or form really did anything about, and he constantly brags about, the lockdown was worse than anything Bush, Clinton, and Obama did to America. Yes, the lockdown under Trump was worse than anything that Bush, Clinton, and Obama did to America. So have we been getting scammed for decades? Of course. Have we been getting lied to for decades? Of course. Have things been, boiling up for decades? But Trump gave the death blow to really the free market, and none of his supporters seem to care about it. It's like this movement is becoming so toxic. And I'm saying, as somebody who likes going to rallies and meeting people, this movement's becoming so toxic. If you can't even see this, no one, like, at a certain point, you're not doing anything. It's just like, how do you not see that? I'm not saying that there weren't things going on for decades, but do you not see the difference between the last 30 years and the lockdown? There's never been anything like that in my lifetime. And there hopefully will never be anything like that again. But why wouldn't they do something like that again? Liberals love it and conservatives make excuses for it. Why wouldn't they do that again, guys? Conservatives love it. They don't even care. They will do anything. And I'm not saying everybody. The conservatives who understand what I'm saying, they agree with me. The conservatives who make excuses, they're the ones. It's like, guys, why wouldn't they do this again? Half the country loves it, and the other half is running in circles around the vaccine salesman. It's like, well, technically it's been happening for decades. Lockdowns have not been happening for decades. They happened last year under Trump. Someone said, I think it's funny you follow the World Economic Forum and you think lockdowns weren't prepared before Trump. Censor Cubs. This is what I'm saying. People looked up to him to say, oh, this guy's fighting for us. So if he just bowed down to the World Economic Forum, then he's not my guy. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I'm not pinning this all on, oh, the world was perfect and Trump came in and ruined it. That's not what I'm saying. But if he's just another character in this sicko television show, I'm not watching anymore. I'm not making excuses for it. It's like, what's the point? Yeah, I don't think that he himself orchestrated all this, but he became a dancing gesture of the whole thing, and he doesn't care anymore. So you're just making my point. I don't think Trump orchestrated this in his head. I think he danced like a court jester, set his supporters up, and continues to play the fiddle as everybody dances to his stupid tunes. Like, that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think he's like the mastermind behind the lockdowns. I think he's just another fake savior and pawn who people thought wasn't a pawn. Isn't that why people supported him? People liked Trump because he wasn't a pawn. He wasn't a puppet. I didn't like Trump because he was a puppet. Oh, he's just another one of those people. If that were the case, I never would have liked him. I think we all thought, or a lot of people thought, he was different. Isn't that why you liked him? Isn't that why you wear the MAGA hat? Isn't that why you go to the rallies? You go to the rallies because you think he's just another World Economic Forum pawn? No, people go to the rallies and support him because he was supposed to save America, help us, put us on the right direction, not lock the country down on behalf of globalists. Aren't you fight? How are you going to fight all these Trump pages? We're fighting the globalists. We're fighting the globalists. Well, normally he's just, it was the globalists who did it and he just played along. Well, then what's the point of playing along with somebody who's playing along to the globalists while you guys pretend you're fighting the globalists? I'm really not trying to be confrontational and mean, but it's like, at what point do people get tired of making excuses? If people get tired of making excuses and actually just do something or actually care, this all goes away. It's all a mind game. You get what I'm saying? The left, it's all mind control. It's like, well, I'll wear a mask so I don't seem Republican. I'll shut down travel. I'm going to shut down their power and water because I'm fighting for my health. It's brainwashed. The left is brainwashed. They've been brainwashed into destroying their own country, destroying their own business, destroying their own family, destroying their own community. The left is brainwashed. So now you go to the right. The whole point about the new movement was supposed to be, we're not brainwashed. We're not mind controlled. We're going to tell the truth no matter how hard it is, not become just a different version of right-wing brainwash where you're like, well, I mean, this is like what it has to be. And it's like, what do we do? It's like, stop playing along. If we're going to be a brainwashed on the right, there is no movement. There is no freedom. There is no resistance. It's just another game with a different label on it that's red instead of blue. So that's the whole point that we're trying to make, is that, I don't understand where people are coming from. Like, I get it a little bit, but it's like, well, he tried his, like, do you think George Washington said that? Like, oh, well, I tried my, it's like, no, they did something. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody who's ever done anything, like what about your ancestors? Like, you know, if they came to America from Europe, like, did they try to get there or did they get there? If they just tried to get there, you never would have been here. I mean, it's a nice thought, but it's like, hey, we're not in America. Well, we tried. Well, clearly you didn't try hard enough because you didn't get there. My ancestors, they tried and then they did it. If they just tried, I wouldn't even be here. I probably wouldn't even be alive. So thank God my ancestors didn't just try, they actually did it. You get what I'm saying? So as far as what DeSantis or Trump, I'm not blaming DeSantis or Trump, but DeSantis can't keep the cruises open. Not blaming him. Trump couldn't keep the country open. He couldn't keep the Constitution afloat. So my job and your job is not to make excuses for what they tried to do. If 100 million patriots just said, we're not giving up the First Amendment, it doesn't go anywhere. You get what I'm saying? It's all a mind control game to make you love Trump so much that you make excuses for him instead of just saying, no. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't care who tried. Like, it's not about trying. If you try to save the Constitution and fail, it doesn't exist anymore. You know, it doesn't matter who tried. If someone on your sports team tried to score, they didn't score the basket, your job is not to sit there and say, well, he tried to put it in the hoop. I mean, he tried his best. No, your job is to get the rebound and put it in. You know what I'm saying? You're playing basketball. Well, LeBron James tried to get the layup. He just missed. Well, you're on the field too. Grab the ball and you put it in and use the team you have to put the ball in the net. If you want the ball in the net, put the ball in the net. If you want the First Amendment, keep it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand this idea of like, well, I understand that we lost this, and this, but he tried. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, I don't think so, but if he did, well then why, if him trying is not good enough, why would I want that again? Why would I spend my energy? You get what I'm saying? I'm sure Ronald Reagan tried to, not pass the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, but then he passed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. So all of the kids who are, who were affected by the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, I don't think any of them care that he tried to not do it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not blaming him but like the trying, I get it. I feel bad. I feel, it could have went a different way or things could have been different had this person not done. I get it, but someone said, I'm done listening to this airbag. That's fine, Dennis, but it's like, I mean, I don't need to hear, but it's like, what part of this was an airbag besides the fact that I literally am an airbag because I breathe air, but it's like, God forbid you tell certain people the truth. It's like, well, I'll just go to this other page that tells me that the country is way better now. I mean, if you don't think Trump made the country better with mask mandates and lockdowns and Operation Warp Speed, I mean, come on, this is way better than what we had during Obama. What's my solution? My solution is for as many people as possible to just keep asking me the same question on loop. That's the solution. For a year, every time I say the solution, just ask me what the solution is because you don't want to hear it. I think that'll work because I've only said it 10,000 times over the last year. So if you just keep asking me what the solution is because you don't want to hear what I think the solution is, then we'll just play this game for the rest of my life. Every time I go live, and we'll act like I never said anything. The solution is to not play along. You're not a pawn of Trump. You're not a pawn of Biden. You don't have to make excuses for him. You don't have to sit there and ask have a good day, enjoy yourself, do what you can do. But if everyone was doing their part as an American citizen, this wouldn't be happening. So I know that all Trump supporters are not doing their part. And I know that because I go live and most people who follow me love Trump. So when I say something that's super simplistic and basic, I see the backlash. I see the excuses. I see the false logic. I see we need a vaccine to be free. And now I see completely clearly why this doesn't work. It's because everybody individually, is not doing their part. People are more interested in making excuses for something that they know is wrong instead of just being like, it's not right. And I think, like, say you're at a company and 100 people are there and 50 people disagree with it. but nobody says anything, and they keep doing what they know is wrong and making excuses for it because they like the guy who's doing his best or whatever. It's like, that's not that doesn't change it. It changes when 50 people come into the office and say, hey, respectfully, we disagree with this and we don't care what you're doing. It's not going to fly. It's not going to work for so long. So, I mean, on a personal level, I think everybody's success and prosperity is, subjective, what you want to do, what you can do. But on a country level, the solution is the conservative movement needs to stop getting lied to. Unfortunately, I don't have faith in liberals anymore. I don't seek their approval or help because, to be quite frank, I don't know what they're doing anymore. And if they want to come over here and listen to a stream and get to the program, they can. But as far as with the conservative base, we have 100 million people. If 100 million people stand for the First Amendment, it's there. If 100 million people, if 60 million of them just make excuses for why Trump couldn't do what they thought he would do and ended up just doing what the World Economic Forum wanted him to do, even though the whole point of liking him was the fact that he was supposed to be standing up against those people, not turning into them, turning into an indistinguishable version of them, then it wouldn't have happened and it wouldn't be happening. So, overall, I don't want to, it's in God's hands. I don't want to scare people and it's all love. But it's like, to me, America's on this trajectory. Did Marco Rubio try? Maybe he tried. Did Ted Cruz try? It's all love. They play their part. We're playing mine. I just think our part is to not make excuses for it. The Republican Party gets off on this stuff because they know if they play this game enough, no one will do anything about it. Trump definitely got people hyped up to look at the GOP and be like, yo, these people are lying to us. But everything comes at everything comes at its own speed. But at this rate, I don't know. I think people are underestimating what's going to happen because we're kind of just sitting ducks at this point. And once again, I don't want to scare people. I want you to have a good time, but look at Canada. Look at the UK. Like, they still are closed down. Canada's still locked down. They're going to try to do this again to us. And I'm just trying to prevent that. I don't want to be mean or anything, but I do, to the best of my ability. I really don't want to get locked down again. I really don't. I don't want to see businesses shut down, and I don't think we can afford to do it again. I think even with this lockdown that just happened, this is already going to take a long time to reverse. So I just pray that people get what I'm saying, because I don't care who you like. I don't care who you vote for. But what I'm trying to talk about before we leave is Trump, Biden, DeSantis, less time making excuses for what they're doing. Vote for them if you like them. Support them. Donate to them if you like them. I don't care. But, we need more people to stand their ground. And I think that's why conservatives have lost so much over the last 40, 50 years. Liberals are playing to win culturally, musically, in corporate. Liberals are controlling almost every major corporation. How did this happen? How did conservative companies turn liberal? How is almost everything in our country liberal? How is almost every food company owned by liberal? How do they own everything? I think conservatives just got lazy or weak or something. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, what, you get what I'm saying? I could have said 50 years ago, I wasn't alive, but hey, if we don't do this, we're going to lose all this stuff. And everyone's like, yeah, shut up. We're winning. We got Reagan, we got Nixon. We're going to win. But it's the truth is we didn't got it. Over 40 years, liberals somehow took over almost everything. And I think that's because conservatives are too nice. I really, and it's not a bad thing in real life, but politically, it's like if lockdowns, you don't even draw the lines at lockdowns. What do you draw the line at? And I think, people like Bryson Gray and a lot of these people on the right that everyone gets mad at, I understand why they draw a line, because I don't know, at a certain point, why wouldn't you draw a line? The line gets pushed further and further back. And instead of being like, hey, it's time to draw a line, I feel like too many Republicans are like, hey, let's make excuses for why the line never stays still. I'm done making excuses. That's just me personally. And I'm not taking ownership over anything like the movement, but you get what I'm saying? It's like the line keeps moving. Trump took the line and moved it further. And people, instead of being like, hey, let's let's ask our favorite politicians not to move the line anymore. Instead of doing that, people are like, let's keep worshiping them and make excuses for why they moved the line. I really think that's why the line keeps getting moved. That's the point I'm trying to make. Maybe I don't always make it well. Maybe I go on too much, but that's the point I'm trying to make. The line moves because they move the line, and you like it, you allow it, and the movement that's supposed to conserve, which means stop the movement of that line. They don't, you get what I'm saying? So many people are like, nah, that's fine. Nah, it's like, well, then it's going to keep, that's how I feel. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. Cause it's like, why wouldn't they move the line again? Who cares? Half the country loves it. The other half is like willing to just say why they think it's moving. It's like, well, then it's not going to stop moving. I don't understand why people think this is going to stop, because the base that's supposed to like it seems like they don't care. That's my point. I'm gonna read one more comment and then I'm really out. Appreciate y'all. God bless you. And we'll move on. The Canadian David said, same thing happening with the Conservative Party in Canada. Their supporters make excuses while they move further left. Thank you, David. Yeah, Canada's a more extreme example, but that's at a certain point in Canada, the Conservative Party moves so far left that it doesn't even matter anymore. So it's like Trump was a stronger version of that, but that's what I'm seeing. It's like under Trump, people are now just making so many, like, we're going to turn into Canada. Eventually the GOP is just going to be like the Canadian GOP, where, we can maybe get a few things. Look at Doug Ford. Doug Ford was supposed to be this rebel conservative Trump figure. He's Mr. Lockdown. He's like almost worse than Trump. Maybe he is worse than Trump. It's like, you get what I'm saying? At a certain point, Team Red's not going to mean anything if Team Red can't conserve anything. That's all I'm trying to say. Hopefully it didn't come off wrong. And I really hope I made the point, because I don't like to get confrontational. I don't like to argue with people or anything. I don't like to get upset. And I don't think I really was, but I'm very stern on this, because it's like, I know people don't want to hear it now. I don't care if people like Trump a million times more than me. I don't need people to like me. I'm just saying, like, if that line keeps moving in 5 years, a lot of this stuff, you look back and be like, damn, I wish we would have done that then. And I'm sure a lot of people, like with the Reagan era and stuff like that, like, there's certain moves that people probably were like, that's fine. Where it's like, yeah, I agree. Life will move on. You'll have a good day. But at the end of the day, I bet now a lot of people are like, man, if we would have done that then, it would have been a lot easier to do now. And I think in 5 years, it's going to be a lot harder to do than it is even now. But that's what it is. Let's end on a good comment. Let me see. Someone said, I still like you. I don't agree on this. All right, Latte Hana, I'll give you the last word. What do you not agree on? And I'm not upset. I'm not angry. I just want to see, I see you in the comments. Let me know what part don't you agree with, because it's totally fine. I still like you. I don't agree on this. If you can, I'll take your time. Let me know what part you don't agree on, and I'll read it aloud, because I'm just genuinely curious. Trump? No, I know, but what about him? Like, what part of what I'm saying do you not agree with? I understand. Don't need time? I don't know what that means. Someone said, instead of criticizing Trump, why don't you pray for Trump and fast for Trump? Well, I think praying for him is fine. You fast for other humans. I don't know. Fast for yourself or God. Maybe that's a thing. You fast and pray for someone. But all right, we gotta end on a different note then. We got to get a good one. Cattle mutilations, bro. I don't know anything about it. I saw the History Channel talking about it, but I don't know much about the cattle mutilations, Behoff. I'll check it out, but it was on the History Channel. All right, one more. After this, I think I'm not gonna mention it anymore. Read the super chats you missed. I apologize, but I just missed them. I can't even see them anymore. Chris said, do you think, all right, I'll end on these two questions. Someone said, do you think both sides played us, and what should President Trump have done? I do think both sides played us. And I mean, I feel like there's two things that are happening, and then I'm really going to end after this. Either people just join the stream like late and they haven't heard what I've said so many times. That's a possibility, and there's nothing wrong with that. Who's going to listen to me for the whole time? Some people, but you get what I'm saying. It's either people don't hear what I'm saying, or every time I say it, people just ignore me because they don't want to hear it, and then they re-ask me. So I don't know if you just joined or you're ignoring the 50 million times I've said it over the last year, but I appreciate the question. What should he have done? I'm not going to say this or that, but my First Amendment matters. Trump never really took on big tech. Trump never really gave us freedom back. We've lost our First Amendment over the course of 10, 20 years, and Trump could have tried to do something. He passed an executive order for a BDS bill, boycott, divestment, sanctions for Israel. So how in the world are we going to get our First Amendment back when Trump is actually making it worse? When Trump is passing more speech bills, even DeSantis is pushing speech bills. We need to take away, the First Amendment's very clear. It doesn't talk about racism, sexism, xenophobia, climate change denier, vaxxer, and blah, blah, anti-vaxxer. That's not what the First Amendment says. Those are words created to take away your free speech. So anybody that uses the words racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, climate change denier, vaccine conspiracy theory, and pushes those into law, they're not helping your First Amendment. So you get what I'm saying? DeSantis and Trump both passed bills that use the word anti-Semitism to take away people's speech, to take away their right to protest, and penalize them, kick them out of a school one way or another, or get them in trouble if they criticize a foreign country that donates heavily to the Republican Party or people that are interested in that country. So how is the Republican Party going to save the First Amendment, probably the most important amendment besides the Second Amendment? It's debatable which one's more important, maybe the second one. How are we going to conserve anything when the party that tells you they're fighting for your free speech is actively selling it out? So not even getting into the lockdown, which was a disaster for Trump, and he was a part of. If this party is not the party of free speech, you're going to get mad at me and mad at me and mad at me. And in 4 years, you're going to look back and be like, when it's a breaking story, you're going to be like, Anomaly talked about that in 2018 and 2019. And I was mad at him, and now I get what he's saying, because the First Amendment's not going to exist anymore. So it's not just did both sides play us? Yes. And I've been saying that for years. Do I prefer Trump over Biden? Yes. Did I vote for Trump? Yes. Would I still vote for Trump if the election were today? Probably, just off of gas prices alone. Biden sucks. But does that mean my vote for Trump is me getting on my knees for a new religion that I now have to act like is saving the world? No, because it's not true. I would vote for him again if the election were yesterday, but that doesn't mean you only have two options in this world. It's either this or this. The country's going to crumble or the country's going to thrive. That's not true. 4 years of Trump and the country's worse than it was under Obama. I'm not blaming Trump. I'm just saying, are both sides playing us? Absolutely. What should Trump have done? For starters, instead of passing anti-First Amendment executive orders, he should have tried to give us back our First Amendment more. Instead of locking the country down and extending it past Easter, he should have not extended it past Easter. Instead of launching an emergency order, which gave Gavin Newsom and Phil Murphy and Cuomo executive authority to be psychopaths, Trump could have not signed the emergency order. Instead of signing the CARES Act, which was the multi-trillion-dollar printing scam bill that ended up, really starting inflation before Biden even got there, Trump could have not signed the CARES Act, but he signed it. And then he told Thomas Massie, who told the truth about it, to leave the Republican Party. And Thomas Massie is one of the only principled Republicans in the entire party. So what could he have done? I mean, I'm not going to judge people on what they could have done and couldn't have done. But for me, I mean, if you're a president who can't keep the country open, who can't stop printing trillions of dollars, who sends us spiraling into socialism and communism, who brags about rushing mRNA vaccines for Bill Gates, Pfizer, and Moderna, who can't protect the First Amendment but has no problem passing bills to sell it out, you're not my guy anymore. I'll give you every chance under the sun, but a year after you're out of office, if you're still bragging about all this stuff, someone said, what could he have done? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's tough to be there. So I try to be forgiving and thoughtful as far as I'm not going to tell you I could have done this. If I want to do something, I'll go do it. But I'm just saying, I'm a voter. Okay. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not a shill. I'm not a paid journalist who just salivates over Biden eating ice cream. I'm an American citizen. Okay. My family immigrated here from Mexico. I'm sorry, Italy and Poland. And Puerto Rico doesn't count, I guess, or Czechoslovakia. I don't know. Puerto Rico is part of America, but my family immigrated here for the freedoms and prosperity. Anybody who's taking that away from me, my job is not to just sit and make excuses for why he did it. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. I'm not blaming him for everything I'm just saying, if you don't see this at a certain point, you're playing yourself and you're losing it, because we are getting played by both sides. And it's not just McConnell versus Trump. It's like at the end of the day, they both go into the closed door and then they come out and pass some crazy $1 trillion bill together, or some sort of anti-Semitism speech violation bill. The First Amendment doesn't say, oh, unless you want to protest Israel, unless you want to say something that I deem hate speech, because the word hate speech itself is a made up term. So now that there's words racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, what do they mean? Well, first they meant this, and now they mean this, and then they mean this, and then they mean this. Next thing you know, it's not just liberals, it's Trump and DeSantis passing speech bills, and the definition for the word is this long. I read it, and I read through all of it, and I'm thinking to myself, this is nothing but an anti-First Amendment bill to stop people from saying something. Saying something what? Hateful? It's already illegal to hurt somebody. It's already illegal to do certain things. It's, these bills are not for your average Joe, and they're not for your average store owner. These bills are for the powerful. So, what could have Trump done? All those things I just mentioned are things that really, I don't support. And as a citizen, our job, my job, your job, our job is not to make excuses for tyranny. Our job is not to make excuses for losing the First Amendment, because my opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. Like, if enough people make excuses for why we lost the First Amendment, why even pretend that you care about it? I mean, I respect people who say, I don't care. I'm just going to read my Bible and I'm going to wait for the country to crumble. And I don't want it to happen, but I'm just saying I respect that person more than the person who supports Trump, who doesn't care about any value they claim to care about, who will make excuses for every single tyrannical thing that Trump was involved in, but then on the other hand will tell people, I'm fighting for freedom in the First Amendment. I respect the person who says, I'm actually not fighting for any of this. I'm just reading my Bible and waiting on the world to change, like a John Mayer song. I can't respect the Trump supporter that just says, like, I care about the First Amendment, but if you bring up how that was infringed upon by Trump and DeSantis, they say, well, what could he have done? I don't know. What could he have done? I don't know. He could have done a dance and done the hanky panky and turned himself around. But what can I do? I don't have it in me to like make excuses for that. I don't know. It's like, if I wanted to be this fake, I would just be a liberal. If I wanted to make excuses for wickedness and just justify a bunch of things taking away my freedom, I'd vote for the Democratic Party. Isn't that their whole platform? Isn't that all they do? They just make excuses why they're taking more money, taking more freedom, taking more of your stuff. That's the Democratic Party platform. If I want to just take stuff and lose stuff and act like I love losing everything, I'll just vote for Joe Biden. But I actually thought people on the right actually cared about this stuff. That was the whole point. I'm like, oh, I'm actually more conservative. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in free market capitalism. I know socialism and communism don't work. When Trump does socialism, communism, medical tyranny, warp speed, this, that, I didn't change. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, I don't agree with any of that. People are like, well, what could have Trump done differently? What part of the last 2 years were you not paying attention to? I'm not going to blame him for everything, but like, my job as an American tax-paying citizen is not, if that's the case, like I said, I'll just sit by my window, read the Bible, and wait for the country to crumble. I don't understand people who think they're fighting for all these free things, and then as soon as it gets brought to their attention that it's not happening, they freak out and get mad at you. Like, I respect the person more who says, I don't actually give a shit about any of that stuff, more than the person who says, I'm fighting for it. And then you're like, well, what about this? I mean, when I learned about this stuff, I was like, a light bulb went on in my head. I didn't know all this stuff. Somebody like myself had brought it to my attention through live stream. I watch other people, and I didn't know about most of this stuff years ago. Even before the pandemic, all this stuff Trump was doing, I learned about it by watching someone. And when he showed me proof, he showed me evidence, he showed me bills, and I did the research, I thought to myself, holy cow, I didn't know this, but I'm glad I know now. And it is what it is. I didn't want it to happen. I wish that wasn't what happened, but I'm going to, I'm going to move it into my arsenal of what I know and move on. I'm not going to cry about it all the time and hate on it, but it is you get what I'm saying? Like, that's what you do when you learn new information. If you fight it, then you don't really care. Like, you care about, defending Trump. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, it's not conservative, constitutionalist, like First Amendment advocate. It's like Trump. It's like, which is why there's all the Trump gear. Sandy said, you think we like these mandates? It doesn't like to blame. Sandy, I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't get it. It's not blame. He asked me, what would you have done differently if you're Trump? And I said, I don't like to play this game of, well, I'm me and I could have done this. But as a taxpayer, my job is not to be Trump. My job is to be Anomaly, and I'm a tax-paying citizen, and I'm an American citizen, and I have a voice. No, but in general, I'm me. I'm not going to say what I would do. I'm me. As me, here's what I don't like that Trump did. And I listed all the things that I don't like that he did because they were unconstitutional, anti-free market capitalism, and to be quite frank, very socialist and communist. So I name all those things that I don't like, and you're saying I'm blaming. I'm not blaming. I'm accurately reporting history that you don't even want to bring into your arsenal of thoughts, because that accurate portrayal of history shatters the illusion that this guy is the next coming of Christ and was saving America, when in fact the opposite kind of happened. So I'm not blaming. I'm just accurately detailing what literally happened in the real world in the United States of America. Someone said mandates are not constitutional. None of this stuff is constitutional, but the reason people get away with it is because of what I'm saying. Conservatives don't organize to fight this stuff. They organize to defend the vaccine salesman. If as many people that went to the Trump rallies organized and tried to fight this stuff in court, it wouldn't be happening. But people don't organize to fight for their freedom. They organize to fight for the vaccine salesman that helped give away their freedoms. It's really that simple. Of course, none of this stuff's constitutional. Of course, none of this stuff makes sense. Of course, none of this stuff is scientific. But when you have 100 million Trump supporters and 80 million of them would rather run in circles around the vaccine salesman than stand and say this is unconstitutional, I don't care who did it, it would have ended last April. Thank you for bringing this home. That's the whole point. I'm trying to make the whole stream. Of course, this is all unconstitutional. So is the bill Trump passed in 2019, but nobody in his base cared. I'm one of 5% of people who actually spoke about it. Everybody else covered it up or gave it a thumbs up. So at a certain point, they don't care what's constitutional if nobody's standing up against it. You have to, as a taxpayer, be like, no, this is not. That's what happened in 2019 when they tried to do this in New York and California and New Jersey. They already tried to mandate vaccines. The pharmacy industry was trying to do this as a cash grab and a power grab. They tried to do this before the pandemic. So we all knew mandatory vaccines were coming, not because I hate Trump or I'm blaming Trump, because that's what the government and the big pharma was trying to do in 2019. They were already trying to do this. So they got their reason to do it, and then they did it. That's how I knew it was going to happen, not because I'm a mind reader. Anomaly, your tweet was so good in March. How'd you know all this was coming? Because they already tried and they already said it, like years ago. So I'm not blaming. That's what I'm saying. When enough people stood up in New Jersey and New York, they had to cancel it. They said, oh, wait, that's called organizing for your freedom. If you organize not for your freedom, but to go to a rally for a guy who's bragging about giving away your freedom, that's what you get. You get a Trump rally. You don't get the First Amendment. You don't get an open. You get that. And it played a role. It was a large gathering, which was awesome during a time when you couldn't gather. So I appreciate that. But that's the point I was trying to make. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to just be to the point. But that's it. That's the whole story. What do we do? What would you have done? It doesn't matter what I'm not, if I'm DeSantis, I'll do this. No, I'm a taxpayer. If I live in Florida, I'm a voter. So that's like, if I'm running for governor, I shouldn't look at you and say, well, what would you do if you're me? Like in a rude way, I'd be like, what do you want me to do? I'm the governor. I want to do what I think is best for the country, but I'm supposed to serve you. The governor's supposed to serve you. The president's supposed to serve you. I know they're powerful and they don't really care about you, but you get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to pretend like I could be Trump. I'm a taxpayer. They're supposed to listen to the people. And that's what I'm saying. he is a populist, but his population doesn't seem to care about these issues, so he doesn't care about these issues. You think if every Trump supporter said what I was saying, do you think Trump would still be saying this stuff? And it's not all about me, but I'm just saying, if every Trump supporter stood their ground in April and said what I'm saying, none of this would be happening because he wouldn't have a movement. He'd turn behind him and he'd have 100 million people saying, bro, you got to stop doing this. And he probably would have stopped, or he would have had to stop, but he doesn't have to stop, just like the Democrats don't have to stop, because they get you fighting each other. And then when push comes to shove, they're all doing the same stuff. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's not Trump's fault. It's our fault, right? It's not their fault. It's not their fault. Well, Christianity is getting destroyed in America. That's our fault. I'll take blame for it. That's my fault. I'm blaming Trump. I'm going to blame myself. It's my fault. It's our fault. You know, I'm not playing the victim as a Christian in America. It's our fault. We got weak. We got lazy. We got, dumb. I'm not afraid to call myself dumb. Like, we got too weak for too long, and people took advantage of us. And that's human history. People always take advantage of people. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, but it is. It's why you build a wall. It's why you have a gate. It's not because you hate the people outside. It's because you love the people inside. So we should have known as a country, as a religion, as a culture, that this was going to happen. But we got dumb and weak and lazy. So this all happened. So when I say it about Trump or Trump supporters, I'm not hating on you. It's like hating on myself. I'm trying to say, hey, guys, this all ends when we decide it ends, not violently, not with any sort of weapons, peacefully with your approval. Trump doesn't have a rally unless people go to it. Imagine if people said, I don't want to go to your rally unless you actually stop doing this. That's why I didn't go to the 6th event. I said, I'm not going to support a vaccine salesman. If everyone said I'm not, he would have had to change his tune. And it's not just that he sold them. His message just didn't resonate with me. So you get what I'm saying? So I'm not being mean. I'm not being hateful. I'm not blaming. It's not his fault. It's our fault. Someone said people get into office because we vote them in. Absolutely. And also the left, it just hates Trump. So the Democrats, they don't have to do anything. Los Angeles is going to shit. Democrats love the media and they love the whole Trump thing because they don't have to do anything. Oh, we're fighting white supremacy. It's like, this area is not even white. What are you talking about? It's like, we're fighting the radical right. And it's like, no, they're just putting a string in front of the liberals and they're like, we're fighting white supremacy. No, your whole city's going to shit. Venice is going to shit. Santa Monica's going to shit. Hollywood's going to shit. West Hollywood's going to shit. Even Beverly Hills is going to shit. You're not fighting white supremacy. Your city's getting destroyed. And the Democrats in charge are puppeting you guys like, we're going to fight Trump. You're not fighting shit. Your whole city's going to shit. And it's the same with the right. They get you fighting the left, and you didn't even realize we became the left. I'm not mad at people. Trump became someone before I even liked Trump, I was into theories about lockdowns in Walmarts and FEMA camps. And like, the QAnon did not create this stuff. Oh, QAnon told me that. That's cool. But Q took conspiracy theories that have been around for 20 years, puppeted people, and then shot them off the wrong direction like Trump did. So it's like, there have been conspiracy theories about lockdowns at FEMA camps and Walmarts since I was 18 years old. And I always watched them. And I always was like, maybe, I hope not, but maybe. And then it all happened. And instead of, the guy we thought fighting them was actually luring it out. And I'm not saying FEMA camps and such, but you get what I'm saying. So I'm like, dang, this was not what I thought was going to happen. So I just said that. I'm not blaming. It's just like, that's what happened. And it's our job to say no. It's like, as far as masks and stuff, like, I don't care if that business is doing the best that they can. I'm not wearing one. I'm not going. I'm not going to your place if you do it. Well, they're doing the best. That's awesome. And I wish these people the best, but I'm not partaking in this right now. And if enough people said, I'm not partaking in this right now, it all goes away. It's that simple. It's actually inspiring. It's not a blame game. It's like, we are the Trump movement. Trump is powerful. He amassed a large audience because of his message, because of his theatrics, because of his humor, and because of his agenda. That's why Trump amassed a huge audience. He's funny. He's smart. He's witty. He's really good at Twitter. I'm talking like a top 5 Twitter person. And his agenda made more sense than any agenda in modern history. So he amassed a large following. He's still pretty funny. He's still a lot of those things. But, if things start changing, it's okay to say, hey, this is not what I signed up for. You don't have to knock on the doors like me. I'm just knocking on the doors because I'm trying to flail my arms. I'm trying to get people to figure it out because it's like, I'm not going in lockdown again. I mean, hopefully it won't happen, but it's like, I'm not partaking in this ever again. I've done enough. So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's up to us. His movement, he amassed it for a reason, but it's filled with you. If Alex Jones disappears, if Julian Assange disappears, if Milo Yiannopoulos disappears, if Steve Bannon disappears and Trump calls him Sloppy Steve, if his supporters go to the Capitol to support him and end up getting in trouble and he doesn't care, he's just selling vaccines, he's not going to be a powerful movement anymore and he doesn't deserve to be. It's not a blame game. It's just like at a certain point, you got, it's okay as a supporter to question things. And I'll tell you what, we'll end on a positive note. I'm seeing it happen. All the big pages, they're starting to ask these questions. They're starting to say, I don't like that on these big Trump pages. They're like, I'm starting to see the backlash and it's good. And there needs to be more, but it's good. There's progress going on. I'm not trying to play hindsight, but if we could have done this last April, we could have avoided a lot, but whatever, meant to be, we get it. Moving forward, that's the only thing I'm trying to say is someone said it's all Hollywood. It is all this crazy game and they're playing both sides in different ways. But to me, the freedom, the truth, the health, it's all on the right now. I'm not trying to be a left-right person, but like if I work out, I'm a right-wing conspiracy theorist. It's not a conspiracy theory. I lift weights. I try to eat somewhat healthy and I like sports. Like I didn't know that made me a far-right person. Why does it make you far-right to work out? It's just because the left went psycho. They're all like losing their mind over politics. And I don't want to be a part of whatever sicko cult they have going on. So that's why I feel the way I feel. So now on the right, the Trump movement was so inspiring and powerful for so long. And I feel like it's just gotten a little like it's very culty. Nobody wants to actually stand up for values. That's why I'm knocking on the door. I'm saying, listen, I'm just knocking. I'm not trying to knock the door down. I'm just trying to knock and say, listen, I don't have that much money. I don't have that much power, but I am a citizen. And, at a certain point, I don't know. I'm going to say what I say. It's like they're going to take however much money they take from me a year. I'm going to say my piece. You want 5,000? You want 10,000? You want 20,000? How much money you want from me? I don't know. How much money do they take? Who knows? I don't even count sales tax. However much money you guys want, if you're going to take my money and send it overseas to blow people up and, fund Jeff Bezos' Space Force, you're going to have to hear my voice as long as I have the First Amendment. So, that's how I feel as a taxpayer. I'm not the biggest taxpayer, but as far as that, that's all I'm saying. And what could he have done differently? I'm not going to play reverse roles, but I know my role. My role is not president. I'm a citizen. I'm a podcaster. No, but you get what I'm saying? I'm not going to play roles. Oh, well, if I was president, everybody would get Hawaiian punch in the school fountain. Yay. And Anomaly would say, I'm not doing shit. If I want to run for office, I'll run for office. But my place is not school president. I'm just a citizen. I'm a mere peasant at this point. Okay. I'm a free range bougie slave who, I'm under the spell of whatever they make me do. I just try to look fly when I do it. But on that note, that's all I think. I love the Trump movement. I love the people. I love the right wing. I like liberals. They got to stop sucking up to Moderna and Pfizer so much. If you want to get your jabs, I have no problem with that. I'm just saying like the obsession over like Big Pharma and Fauci, they're writing Fauci songs. Like I can't do it. I'd rather listen to Bryson Gray rap about Trump, which I listened to his new album. Check it out. But in general, it's like, I can't do that. I can't watch Vaccine Live with Jimmy Kimmel and Selena Gomez. It's just, it's past the point. All their programming sucks now because they can't keep diversity. We get it. You love everybody, but how do you love everybody, but you can't even keep your own city afloat? It's all fake. All their stuff's fake. Who has the best customer service? Chick-fil-A. Why? I don't know why, but they're Christian and conservative somewhat. So it's like, just do good service. And I know you like me. If all your cities are going to shit and you just say Black Lives Matter, I don't think you actually care about Black people. I think you're just putting on a show. But anyway, you get what I'm saying? I like everybody. I just don't know what they're doing. And with the right, I'm trying to light a little fire in a nice way because like I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but at the same time, I do feel like we're on a conveyor belt and they're playing us a little bit. And I'm no chicken. I'm a free range bougie slave. If I'm a chicken on a conveyor belt, you best believe I'm going to look fly. I'm going to have sunglasses on. I'm going to be too jacked for the gulag. I'm going to be the strongest organic chicken on there. No GMO, just straight muscles. At least I got to look fly before they send me to the slaughter. So that's what I'm doing. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I got my point across. I know I ramble sometimes, but I didn't want to end on a bad note. I was like, I got to figure out how to say this because people aren't listening to me. I don't know. I mean, I don't care if people disagree with me, but I'm like, people keep asking me the same question. Did they just join? That makes sense. You just came in, you have a question? No problem. Welcome. But to a certain extent, I'm like, at the same time, maybe it's your first time, but I say this all the time. I'm like, I can't tell if people really want to know what I'm talking about or they just don't want to hear me, so they keep asking me. Either way, it's pretty funny. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a good week. And someone said, no conveyor belt, your process outside of nature. No, I call myself a free range bougie slave. Like they got free range chickens. I'm a free range slave. Am I free? Somewhat. I could move around, but I'm a little bit limited. I can't go on a cruise. I don't know if I can even go to Europe. But listen, if I'm gonna be a free range chicken, I gotta look somewhat fly while I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? You only got one life. If I'm a chicken on the belt, you best believe I'm gonna be doing push-ups on the conveyor belt. So I'm a free range bougie chicken slave. All right, have a good day, guys. Hopefully this doesn't end up in an NPR article because I'll never hear the end of it. And I'll be back with I have a good video for tomorrow. Maybe it's Saturday, so maybe not, but we'll see what's going on. Have a good one.